What is Taylor Swift's reputation? Reputation.
Harry Styles and Taylor Swift are in the lobby of the Sunset Marquee.
Reputation.
How long were they together?
Like a week.
Reputation.
Now start the how long until they break up clock!
Reputation.
I love that he is beating Taylor Swift at her own game.
Reputation.
She's an adorable pop star version of the guy from Saw.
Reputation.
And we all extremely want to play the game.
Reputation.
A narrative world in which her music is just one piece in an interactive, shape-shifting story.
Reputation.
She's Jigsaw, she's the Riddler. If she didn't have music to distract her, she would have started building death traps.
More than any other modern artist, Taylor Swift is defined by her whirlwind romances and cunning mythology. She is the architect behind her own pocket universe, complete with fans, enemies, and lovers alike. The fans are usually girls and young women, the wardens of whimsical girlhood. The enemies are usually men, scorned ex-lovers, powerful label executives, Kanye West, and the lovers are men too. There was Harry Styles and the infamous Central Park photos. I go back to December all the time too, girl. There was Jake Gyllenhaal and the mysterious red scarf. We have it all figured out. Everything is as it should be. Or is it? The Taylorverse is an ancient, sprawling plane. But depending on who is interacting with it and why, the lore of the universe changes. It's like the other world from the movie Coraline. Once you go through that tunnel, everything you see is tailored especially for you. The history, the totems, even the other characters. To some Swifties, their reality is exactly as I described earlier. Taylor Swift is a mastermind, and her universe is populated by ruinous men. To other Swifties, however, men don't exist in their universe. And if they do, it's part of a much bigger plot than run-of-the-mill romance. Taylor Swift is still a mastermind here, but she is using her powers for evil. She's only pretending to love men in order to protect her public image. Harry and Jake and Joe are mere pawns in the complicated dance that she has choreographed for commercial gain. And dare I say, safety. Taylor's true partners all along haven't been men, but women. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and Zoe Kravitz, women. These Swifties are called Gaylors. Gaylorism is as vast as the Taylorverse itself. Some participants are only in it for the queer textual analysis. They resonate with Taylor's music and, as a hobby, deconstruct it for possible queer themes. The way that you would treat a book or a movie. But today's video is about the other Gaylors, the ones that are invested in the mythology of a queer Taylor Swift. They want to prove to themselves or to the public that Taylor is a closeted queer person who has been signaling her queerness for over a decade. While it's much more common now among these Gaylors to refer to her as bisexual or unlabeled, early on in the fandom, I would say more people considered her to be an outright closeted lesbian. One such Gaylor describes the purpose of the community as such.
To see Taylor for who she is. To hear what she has been trying to say all this time, but feels she's not allowed to.
As glamorous as all of this sounds, Gaylors haven't had an easy time in the fandom. Not only are they blood rivals with so-called hetlers, aka Swifties who believe she is in fact 100% straight, word to Louis Tomlinson, they've also been written off as betrayers by their very own icon. For years now, Taylor and her team have been systematically dismantling the Gaylor theory. Sometimes it's by happenstance, and sometimes it's very on purpose. The mastermind of their universe, their beldam, is poisoning the well Gaylors drink from to survive. And so, I enter into evidence Gaylor's tarnished coat of arms, their muses acquired like bruises, their talismans and charms, the tick 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 of love bombs, and their veins of pitch black ink. All is fair in love and internet infamy. Welcome to Internet Infamy, a series on my channel where I, shortspeare, your extremely online host, take you through archived addictions of the internet's past. These are not video essays, they're more like investigative gossip. And as we learned from the Larry video, people get so hostile about it. This video is not sponsored, so please consider checking out my Patreon to support the channel. I also want to remind you about my friend Ahmed. He lives in occupied Palestine with his family, including with multiple children and his mother, who needs urgent medical care for a heart condition. As you know, the medical system has been intentionally destabilized in Palestine by their occupiers, that being Israel. Ahmed and his family are desperately trying to leave Gaza to access proper medical care for his mother. Despite what your local officials, your elected officials have said, despite what you read in the headlines, there is no ceasefire in Palestine. Israel is still bombing, starving, and segregating Palestinians with the goal of committing a genocide and colonizing their land. If you are able to, please consider donating to Ahmed's mutual aid fund. The money helps them afford their basic daily needs such as food, water, and medicine. They would also like to save money where they can if his mother is able to evacuate. Links will be down below in the description. Now, when rookies share the folklore of Gaylor, they tend to start in 2014. Great year! Great year! But me, I want to start even further back, at the beginning. It's the summer of 2006. Taylor Swift still speaks with a country accent, her debut single is rising in the charts, and she is fresh into a 6-month tour with her live band. And like most other 17-year-olds in 2006, Taylor Swift is posting a lot on MySpace. Listen to this. I'm proud to say that thanks to Scott, every song on my debut album are ones I have written. Not too many artists get to say that. I love my life. Seriously. Oh, okay. And in May of that year, she posted, I love what I do, and I'm so thrilled about what's happening. My single comes out on June 19th. I don't think I've ever been this happy in my life. Ooh. Taylor also talks about Emily and Todd, her touring band. Todd isn't really important to the story. Sorry, Todd. But Emily is. She plays fiddle because of course she does, it's country music, and Taylor describes her on MySpace as 21 and absolutely adorable. Most of the other blog posts that mention Emily are friendly. They live together on the same tour bus, so between performances, they would binge watch Grey's Anatomy. They also devised plans to prank their fellow musicians. It's very clear from early internet postings that Emily was an integral part of her debut days and a very close friend, maybe even something more in the eyes of the Gaylors. In late 2007, we get our first major Gaylor talisman. Taylor and her band are visiting the Gaylord Texas Resort and Convention Center. Gaylord. You can imagine by this guy's shit-eating grin where this is going. Gay Texan. My culture is not your costume. Gaylors find this image provocative. You know, it gets the people going. Some argue that Todd and Emily are pointing at Taylor as if she's the gay Texan in question, but it looks to me more like they're just pointing at the word gay and Taylor just so happens to be standing next to it. There are two possibilities here. Are they standing and pointing because they think the word gay is funny / insulting, a la 2000s humor? Everyone in the 2000s thought that gay was like the biggest insult.
Right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those hands.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. Just saying.
Or are they standing and pointing because someone within the group identifies with the word and, now they're pointing for shits and giggles for support? I'm more inclined to believe the former, but that's only because Picture to Burn homophobic version exists. This was the 4th single from Taylor's debut album, and this picture was taken while she was performing it on tour. The crowd's reaction was so potent when they played this song that it convinced Taylor to release it as a single a few months after this photo was taken. One of the lyrics goes,
"So go and tell your friends that I'm obsessive and crazy. That's fine. I'll tell mine you're gay."
Yay! Oh, she doesn't mean it in a good way? What the fuck? The song is about how much the speaker hates her ex-boyfriend. There's even some thinly veiled threats of violence thrown in there. So if we put our thinking caps on, our critical thinking caps, we can assume that gay is not being said in a pro-LGBT feminist ally sort of way. Controversial to be sure, which is why it was changed for a radio play, and it doesn't even exist on future versions of the album. Emily would play her last show with Taylor in January of 2008. The story goes that in late 2007, she decided that she wanted to pursue a career in law. She took the LSATs, passed, and decided to leave the band. Now this is where we get the second major piece of Timely evidence, if you will. Taylor publishes this video dedicated to Emily on her MySpace page. The soundtrack is this song by Dashboard Confessional, Stolen. Throughout the chorus, the speaker divulges their romantic feelings for the song's muse, saying, "You have stolen my heart," over and over again. Emily's goodbye video, as it turns out to be, isn't just from Taylor. The entire crew is in on it. At the end of the video, each of them holds up a handwritten note that reads, "I love you, Emily," including Taylor. But to Gaylor's, this video is prime evidence that Taylor had a major crush on Emily. See. In the video, there is a shot of their shared tour bus. On the wall is a note. To Emily from Taylor. Here's a transcription.
"I feel as if our relationship has been taken to the next level over the past few months, and with much contemplation, I decided that I would bestow upon you one of my most prized possessions, my flamingo bandana. This is a 3rd-generation family heirloom, and I suggest you frame it. I think it will look perfect in your apartment with the cat pillows. Enjoy."
How sweet. What is she hiding? In late 2008, about 10 months after Emily left the band, Taylor releases her second studio album, Fearless. It's a fairy tale straight from a teenager's brain, full of romantic idealism and autopsies alike. She uses Romeo and Juliet as inspiration for her lead single, Love Story. And instead of the speaker's fateful love ending in tragedy, Swift changes it to be a happily ever after. We also get a song presumed to be about Joe Jonas, titled Forever and Always. Now, they were rumored to be dating mid to late 2008, and Taylor alleges that he broke up with her in a 25-second phone call. Joe disagrees. And he disagrees bad.
"I called to discuss my feelings with the other person. Those feelings were obviously not well received. I did not end the conversation. Someone else did. Phone calls can only last as long as the person on the other end of the line is willing to talk."
Fearless isn't just about romance. The Best Day, for instance, is dedicated to her mom. There's also a track titled Breathe, which was in collaboration with the iconic Colby Calliet. Calliet? Whoever she is, she deserves a Grammy for Bubbly Alone. That was my shit back in the day. Anyways, at first glance, to some people, Breathe reads as yet another romantic fallout.
"Now I don't know what to be without you around. I can't breathe without you. You're the only thing I know like the back of my hand."
But in an interview, Taylor and Colby associated with more of a platonic breakup. Colby states that the song is about a situation that Taylor was going through with one of her bandmates at the time. Taylor adds,
"One of my best friends, I'm going to have to not see anymore and is not going to be a part of what I do. It's the hardest thing to go through. It's crazy listening to the song because you would think it's about a relationship and it's really about losing a friend and having a fallout.
Overcompensation aside, from these clues as well as the time frame that the song was written, it's clear that Breathe is about Emily Poe. Now, in my hunting, I heard that Emily actually confirmed this on her Facebook. There are screenshots from September 2017 where she states,
I guess the rumors are true. You should be careful or Taylor Swift will write a song about you.
I tried to verify these screenshots myself, but Emily's Facebook has been wiped of everything pre-2020. But I may have another interesting connection. So in the late 90s, VH1 premiered their series Pop-Up Video. The premise is that they'll play a music video and every 10 to 15 seconds, a pop-up will appear giving you behind-the-scenes information. Sometimes it's about the making of the video, sometimes it's about the artist, or it can even just be like random facts related to the themes of the video. The Wikipedia page for the series notes that the producers usually sourced the information a number of ways. Sometimes they spoke directly with people involved in the making of the video, like a director or an extra, and sometimes they used information that was sent into them by viewers.
General facts are double or triple sourced, according to the producers.
The series originally went off air in 2002, but it came back in late 2011. The latest collection included insight into the track Our Song from Taylor's debut album. They mentioned that the band in the video was still touring with Taylor to that day, except, of course, for Emily, who was, quote, fired without reason. They go on to allege that the public was lied to about Emily being more interested in law and leaving on her own accord. And after her firing, Taylor apparently never spoke to her again. Even more interesting, they immediately jump to talking about the song Breathe and how all of Taylor's exes end up in a song. Breathe, they say, features a bunch of apologies, something that Emily has, quote, never heard. What'd that mean? Look, my one true requirement for this series is for the theories to be compelling. I don't have to believe it. It doesn't have to be confirmed. Most often, it never is. I just want to be intrigued. I find a lot of Gaylor lore to be a little... And up to this point in my research, my attention wasn't grabbed. I wasn't gaffing like I wanted to. But this piece of information had me sitting up in bed. Not because I believe what VH1 is saying. I personally think their solicitation methods could clearly lead to hearsay, but I was interested because I couldn't figure out why they would say it to begin with, especially the way they worded it. Now, again, the Wikipedia page for the pop-up series does mention that the producers tried to make every episode into like a dirty joke. And obviously, they might say anything for ratings. But this is such a strange hill to die on. A random hill. Even. 2 years before the VH1 episode, in 2009, a random user on a forum post also alleged that Emily was fired, but they take it a step further than VH1. They state that Emily was fired because her and Taylor were caught in an intimate encounter. The user goes into a lot of grave detail, which I won't recount here because, of course, Taylor was a child at the time, and rumor or not, maybe it's none of our business what she was doing. The gist is that people who went to high school with Taylor allege that she was bi-curious. A similar sentiment can be found in this early 2010s comment left under a re-upload of Emily's goodbye video.
I can't say it's a fact. I love Taylor, so I don't like rumors, but I heard from a friend who was very close to one of Taylor's friends in high school that she was bi. And then this whole rumor about Emily Poe surfaced about how she and Taylor were into each other, and as a step to protect Taylor's image, her manager fired Emily.
At this point, it's no longer a hee-hee-ha-ha internet theory, right? This is an allegation. Not because of the potential queer element, obviously, but because of the age gap. Taylor was about 16, turning 17, during the time, and Emily was in her early 20s. Plus, she's like a chief prosecuting attorney specializing in child crimes now. So this kind of thing could really impact her career. There is zero evidence that anything happened between them beyond a friendly or even familial bond. And I think Gaylors can tell because even they resist speculating too far on this subject. A popular argument is that Taylor had a crush on Emily and she was turned down because of her age, or maybe because Emily isn't into girls. In 2022, Emily did an interview about her time on tour with Taylor, and she shared a letter that Taylor wrote to her during that era.
Emily, you're my sister and I love you so much. Thank you so much for being there across the aisle from me to talk about everything. We've been pretty much every place in the country together, and you've helped me get through so much. I adore you. Thank you.
In 2025, Emily did another interview where she described her relationship with Taylor as
sort of like having a little sister that was also your boss.
So my verdict, get this off my desk. It's September 2011 and everything has changed. Taylor Swift is a mega superstar touring the world for her third studio album, Speak Now. But she's also kind of a laughingstock. A few years prior, at the 2009 MTV VMAs, Kanye West stormed the stage in protest after Taylor Swift's You Belong With Me won over Beyoncé's Single Ladies for Best Female Video of the Year. It ignited a feud that would last forever. For some reason. Taylor was also fresh off of two extremely high-profile relationships with two extremely high-profile men. John Mayer and the other one. Jake Gyllenhaal. Sorry. He just kind of blends into the background for me. Judging by the songs we get off of Speak Now and Red, as well as the public tantrums that John Mayer threw after hearing Dear John for the first time, it's clearly a tumultuous time for everyone involved. It's hot, sorry.
The song made me feel terrible because I didn't deserve it. I'm pretty good at taking accountability now, and I never did anything to deserve that. It was a really lousy thing for her to do. I never even got an email. I never got a phone call. I was really caught off guard, and it really humiliated me at the time when I was already dressed down. I mean, how would you feel if at the lowest you've ever been, someone kicked you even lower? I will say, as a songwriter, I think it's kind of cheap songwriting. I know she's the biggest thing in the world, and I'm not trying to sink anybody's ship, but I think it's abusing your talent to rub your hands together and go, oh, wait till he gets a load of this. I mean, that's bullshit.
You have to be out of your mind to call Dear John cheap. The bridge, let's just put it this way. Whatever she says you did it, and you need to be in prison for life because of it. Okay? They allegedly split in early 2010, and her subsequent relationship with that other guy lasted roughly between late 2010, around the same time that Speak Now was released, and very early 2011, right before she embarked on the tour. September 2011 was also peak Glee season. The show, which was a teen-centric musical dramedy, began its third season that month. Even if you have never watched it, like me, you've probably seen some references to it online or in other television shows. It has that much cultural value. The premise of the show is to give a voice to the freaks and geeks of the world, the people who don't want to fit in.
I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in.
Because of the surrounding anti-queer sentiment happening on multiple levels in society at that time, the show easily became a sort of queer Bible. The entrenched messaging of acceptance and tolerance lent naturally to storylines about gay being okay. It was created in part by Ryan Murphy, a gay man whose
mobilization of a queer aesthetic is visible in Glee. The show is infused with queer references, from pop culture, such as queer icons, to terminology, such as gaydar and beards. As Heather Hogan wrote in 2012, Glee resonated with us. We just knew it was going to be our show.
I swear this has something to do with Taylor Swift. Stick with me. Okay, one of the major first-generation Glee characters was Quinn, played by Dianna Agron. Agron. Dianna's Wikipedia is very interesting. If you scroll down to her personal relationships section, it reads,
Agron's sexuality has been subject to much public speculation. Her close friendship with Taylor Swift in the early 2010s led to some fans developing a theory that Swift is secretly gay. Lesbian culture website Autostraddle reflected that Agron wearing a t-shirt reading "Likes Girls" in 2011 was the moment that started the whole internet gay discourse.
God, I've been waiting to take this jacket off. Holy shit. Oh, but my pins. You'll see them later, I guess. The infamous t-shirt was worn in June 2011, while Dianna and the rest of the cast of Glee were on tour. This is how she explains it.
Yesterday during our show, instead of wearing my usual shirt during Born This Way, I decided to wear one that said "Likes Girls." It should have actually read "Loves Girls" because I do. The women in my life give me things that the men in my life can't, and vice versa. No, I am not a lesbian, yet if I were, I hope that the people in my life could embrace it wholeheartedly. And let me tell you, I can easily spill, quite comfortably, what I admire, respect, and think is beautiful about any of the women in my life. Piece of cake.
Well, I'm lost. Every sentence was like a bazooka blast. That was just one paragraph out of 13. She wrote an entire essay to get across what heterosexual influencers do in a 6-second TikTok. Another fascinating thing about Dianna is that she was rumored to have a thing with her co-star on Glee, Lea Michele, mainly because people shipped their characters on the show. With all of that in mind, may I present to you the Gaylor theory of Swift-Gron. Taylor and Dianna met in September 2011 at a flea market for some reason. There were times previous where they attended the same award show, but this was truly their first publicly documented interaction. And then nothing substantial happens for like a few months. In January 2012, Dianna reacted to Taylor's Vogue cover shoot, writing on Twitter that Taylor looks all kinds of 70s beautiful. You'll notice later just how popular this goddamn magazine cover was at the time. She was pulling bitches left and right with this shit. In late March, the two go and watch The Hunger Games together in theaters. Gaylors referred to this as a date and argue that Taylor and Dianna were caught by fans. A few days later, Dianna tweeted again about Taylor and a few other people, listing things that she was grateful for. Inspired by lovelies not afraid to make lists or be happy, at Taylor Swift. They hung out a few more times that month, in, I would say, generally platonic ways. But clearly something is triggered in the world of pop culture because on April 12th, Dianna guest stars on Jimmy Kimmel, and he asks her about her relationship with Taylor point blank.
And how does Taylor Swift work into this love triangle?
I don't know.
Are you dating her?
No, but
That would be
wouldn't
great.
that be juicy? Hi, Taylor.
Gaylors argue that Dianna refused to answer the question, which further fueled their theories. I mean, I heard a very clear no in that clip.
No,
but you know, whatever. Sure. On April 25th, Dianna tweets a picture of her kissing what looks like Taylor's cat, Meredith Grey. Yes, named after that Meredith Grey. She captioned it, playing dress up, baking cookies, posting pictures on Twitter, kissing this cat, followed by hashtag date me. She later changed it to @ a Twitter account with the handle date me. A couple of days later, on April 27th, Taylor posted a picture of herself wearing a scissor necklace made by the artist Dakota Ray. In either June or July of that year, Dianna was photographed wearing a scissor bracelet. Some Gaylors use this as evidence of their lesing out because scissors have become a kind of cultural signal among sapphics. But a lot more Gaylors take this with a grain of salt. One, because the jewelry is in a different style, therefore it is not matching like some Gaylors claim. And two, scissors were also really big in pop culture at this time for some reason, and so a lot of people wore scissor charms. April 29th, 2 days after the Scissor Sisters tweet, Taylor attended Dianna's birthday dressed up as a cat. The next morning, Dianna posted a photo of her door, which has been graffitied by house guests. In the corner, you could see a message that kind of reads,
I'm a little kitten and I need to nurse because I'm a runt and I'm likely to fall victim to predators.
And below that, it might say, whoa, or like maybe a name. I don't even know what this could possibly mean. Could it be gay? I'm not sure. But Gaylors think that Taylor wrote this note the night of Diana's party. Their first piece of evidence is that, of course, she was dressed up like a cat that night. Their second piece of evidence is the holy ground of it all. On the Red album, there's a song called Holy Ground that Gaylors think is about Diana. One of the lyrics goes,
I left a note on the door with a joke we had made.
And I mean, that is a door, and that is a joke. But Holy Ground was written in February of 2012. Diana's party was in April of that year. You could argue that this song is still about Diana though, seeing as how this isn't the first time she has let guests at her house write on her walls. She mentions in an interview that it was tradition. Maybe Taylor wrote on a different door, or maybe she signed the door twice. Once at the party and another time sometime before it. But there's also the matter of the song's meaning. Taylor explained that the song was about finally appreciating a relationship that has long since ended. So it wouldn't make much sense for it to be about her current partner, Diana. I mean, could she have lied? Sure. That seems to be a popular Gaylor theory anyways. If something doesn't match up to their timeline, they just say that Taylor was lying. She's a pathological liar. What's truly disappointing about this theory is that I haven't seen many Gaylors analyze the handwriting that was left on the door and compare it to known samples of Taylor's. Like, that's Gay Conspiracy 101. Are you people newbies? Like any true millennial, Taylor writes in a mix of cursive and print. It's very whimsical. The letters spread out and curl. The writing on the door is narrow and the letters are thin. The clearest sample we can pull from the door are the words, I'm A. Compared to how Taylor writes these words, it doesn't really match. The A, maybe, but everything else, no. If anything, this other message written in blue ink is more similar to Taylor's handwriting. I mean, look at the way she draws her L's and the hitch on the V as it connects to the O. But, you know, that's just me. Anyways, blah blah blah, now it's summer. Diana and Taylor are still hanging out. Diana even goes to a Taylor Swift concert. And then in June, she attends the GLAAD Awards, where she auctions off a kiss for charity. She, as in Diana. Keep up. She makes clear to the audience that she'll kiss anyone, regardless of gender. She has even kissed girls before, which she describes as fun. Now, does she mean this in a Katy Perry way or a Woola way? We never find out. July 4th, 2012. Diana is on the scene in Hyannis Port when Taylor, 22 at the time, meets 17-year-old Connor Kennedy. And before y'all start, unlike a lot of you, I know how to tell time. Connor Kennedy's birthday is July 25th, 1994, meaning on July 4th, 2012, he was 17 years old. Mere days after his 18th birthday on July 28th, Taylor and Connor are papped closely together. US Weekly reported,
to no one's surprise, an insider confirmed Connor and Taylor's relationship in August 2012. They also revealed that Taylor was helping Connor grieve the loss of his mother, Mary Richardson Kennedy, who tragically died by suicide in May that year.
Okay. Is it a bad time to mention that 6 weeks into dating, Taylor bought a house near the Kennedy compound, assumingly to be closer to Connor? 6 weeks. When I made my Larry video and mentioned that Harry was 18 going on 19 in a few months and that Taylor was a week or so out from turning 23, people in the comments were like, so what? That's such a normal age gap. Swifties say the same thing about the whole Connor Kennedy fiasco. They argue that it's just a small age gap. Taylor waited until he was 18. I mean, the age of consent. Stop it. Shush, stop. Call it what you want. It's normal to you, but it is effervescently weird to me. And me having that opinion will not kill Taylor Swift. I mean, she is clearly Fine. They broke up in October of 2012. 3 months in the grave. Taylor received a lot of pestering from the media for the relationship, which, I would say it was in a hypocritical way. She shouldn't be dating teenagers, obviously. But the same media that permits endless Hollywood men to prey on young children undisturbed and uncriticized suddenly found their moral compass when it was Taylor Swift doing it. Again, she shouldn't have been doing it. They accused her of kidnapping Connor because she sent her private jet to pick him up at school. Yes, he was still in school while they were dating. High school. She responded to this criticism in... She called Connor a grown man. You can't take advantage of a grown man. You can't kidnap a grown man. We have very different definitions of what's grown, girl. Some Gaylor beard truthers believe that every man Taylor Swift has publicly dated was a beard for her to protect her public image and kind of obfuscate her real relationship with women. Hence why Dianna was there the day that Taylor met Connor. Some Gaylors also believe that Taylor or her team picks men that share attributes with the woman she's dating. Also that she can write about the women in her life without drawing any undue attention. In this case, using Gaylor logic, Connor and Dianna both have green eyes. Different shades, and Diana's are more hazel, but nonetheless, the Connor Kennedy era has to be the darkest time in fandom history. Not just for the Gaylors, but for Swifties as a whole. It fails on all fronts, girl. It doesn't protect Taylor from queer investigations, as we'll see later. And it also makes her look really, really bad. Like, extremely bad. And the graveyard photos, oh my god. Who is her publicist? Is Tree in the picture yet, or does she come in later? Because this is awful. I need a drink. Can't drink too much of this, girl. It is already warm as fuck in here. The same month that Taylor and Connor reportedly break up, Taylor releases Red. This is considered her first pure foray into pop music, even though it was marketed as a country album. We get such cultural resets as I Knew You Were Trouble and We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. We also got the Ed Sheeran collaboration track, Everything Has Changed. Taylor describes the track as one about
falling in love. It's about meeting someone and all of a sudden your entire perspective on the world changes. You're thinking for two instead of one.
The speaker on the track is singing to someone with green eyes and freckles. Because Connor has green eyes and because he was the last publicly confirmed relationship, everyone just assumed that the song is about him. But we know from past tweets and recording studio sessions that Taylor wrote and recorded this song sometime before she met Connor. Gaylors theorize that Everything Has Changed is actually about Dianna, seeing as how she also has greenish hazel eyes, and her and Taylor were notoriously hanging out around the time that the song was recorded. In fact, the same day that Taylor tweeted about writing the song with Ed, she went out to dinner with Dianna later. Also, we have to look at the liner notes for the song. Taylor's been doing this thing ever since her debut album where she gives hints about a song's context or muse. And she does this through coded liner notes. You can crack the code by stringing together every capitalized letter in the lyrics. For Everything Has Changed, the code reads Hyannis Port, aka the place where she met Connor. Sorry, off topic. Imagine being RFK Jr.'s niece-in-law. Wouldn't that fucking suck? But anyways, look closer at how she spells Hyannis. Why is there an extra I in there? That's not how you spell that, but that is how you partially spell Dianna. Maybe she can't spell. But I do agree with the Gaylors that it feels intentional, especially because every other I, aside from the other one in Hyannis, is lowercase. And also consider the context that this spelling is found in. Part of Diana's name is hidden in the lyric that goes, I just want to know you better. interesting. It can also be like maybe she is referencing that specific day that she met the Kennedys on the 4th of July, and Dianna was with her that day. So maybe she's referencing that specific day, which would be weird because he was 17. And she just wants you to put it together that Dianna was there, Hyannisport, the day I met him. When Red was released, Dianna celebrated it on Twitter, and she actually used a screenshot of Everything Has Changed to do it. Dianna's name is also found in the liner notes for the song 22, alongside other friends of Taylor like Ashley, who introduced the two, and Claire, a longtime friend, and also Selena Gomez, who needs no introduction. Wait, I need something for this next part. Okay. That's not mine. Yeah, that's right. December 3rd, Taylor and Harry Styles of One Direction fame are papped on the most infamous date of all time. This was like September 10th. You knew where you were when it happened. December 6th, they hold hands as they leave a mutual friend's party. Dianna is with them, of course. Sometime that month, Harry Styles crashes their snowjet and almost kills them, leaving Taylor asking, "Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods?" New Year's Eve, Taylor and Harry kiss under the countdown, and January 4th, we get the second infamous Haylor talisman. Taylor Swift leaving their romantic Caribbean vacation alone, blue dress on a boat, without Harry Styles. The relationship is over, at least publicly. In February of 2013, Taylor tweets something interesting for Valentine's Day. Glee was airing an episode that day, and Taylor tweeted that an inside source she had on the show told her that her song was going to be featured. Surprise! That didn't happen. And she eventually deleted the tweet. It was probably a huge miscommunication because in the original episode trailer, one of the characters does say that their guilty pleasure is Taylor Swift. And common sense based on the episode synopsis leads everyone to think that he was going to perform a song from her discography.
I like Taylor Swift.
But for whatever reason, that doesn't happen in the actual episode. And his guilty pleasure is changed to Barry Manilow. Gaylors have a much funnier explanation for this tweet. Taylor Swift's music wasn't in the episode, but you know what was? Diana's character, Quinn, has her first and apparently last sexual encounter with another woman. Some Gaylors believe that Dianna was the inside source and that she maliciously tricked Taylor into watching the episode and promoting it so that she would have to sit and watch as Quinn, Dianna, and Naya Rivera's character were intimate together. Why? Hell if I know. It would be kind of mean to do to your partner, no? One Gaylor put it this way. Essentially, Dianna tricked Taylor into watching her character have sex with another girl. This was most likely a sore spot for Taylor since Dianna and Naya used to hook up in real life. There's no evidence that that is true. I can confidently say this, take it with a grain of salt, because my source knows people close to some of the cast members. It's hearsay. Taylor and Dianna were last known to hang out in December of 2012. Yet, in April of 2013, rumors began to spread again about them dating. Taylor Swift is in a new relationship, but it's not what you expected. Taylor's reps say this is the happiest she's ever been. The screenshot looks kind of funky, doesn't it? Something's not quite right. Look at the publication name, Stars Daily. Now, there's Stars Magazine and the Daily Star, but Stars Daily doesn't exist. Someone made a fake article about a more than likely fake relationship and then had the nerve to write lesbianist on it. Leave my lesbians alone. And some Gaylors had the nerve to circulate this as evidence. Wasting my time. Don't piss me off. This publication was fake, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't buzz at all surrounding their relationship. It was such a big thing in the 2010s that to this day, Dianna is still being asked about it. In a 2023 interview with Rolling Stone, she stated,
"That's interesting. I I mean, there have been many stories about my dating life that are wildly untrue. That's funny.
Me when I'm low-key gay. She was also asked if she inspired the track 22, because her name, of course, was in the liner notes for it. While the song is friend and party-centric in nature, the lyrics also reference possible romance. You look like bad news, I've gotta have you, I've gotta have you. Dianna responds in that interview that she can't possibly take credit for 22. The real reason she was included was because of the power of friendship. There's two other key songs that Gaylor's linked to Dianna: I Wish You Would and Wonderland. Both are from 1989. In I Wish You Would, the speaker yearns for a lover who lives nearby.
It's 2 a.m. in my room. Headlights past the window pane. I think of you.
In the 1989 Secret Sessions, Taylor apparently told fans that this song was written about Harry Styles. Hailers generally believe that Harry and Taylor hooked up for at least a year after their public breakup. It was bi for bi secret gay espionage. According to one master post on Tumblr in March of 2014, Harry bought a house near Taylor's, quote, 7 minutes by car and 15 minutes with traffic, which is really specific. This happens to match up with the lore of the Secret Sessions. Gaylors, however, believe that this is just a cover. They allege that Dianna also bought a house near Taylor during this time. Hers was reportedly, quote, on the Universal City side of Mulholland Drive. And because I don't live in California, I don't know what that means. But according to maps, Mulholland Drive is near Beverly Hills, where Taylor was staying at the time. This reportedly happened around July of 2013, which implies, based on the lyrics of the song, that Dianna and Taylor were broken up by then. Which, I mean, kind of fits. They were last seen together in late 2012. I Wish You Would also has a lyric where the speaker describes their love as crooked in a straight line down. Sounds gay. Sounds really gay. But Taylor describes the lyric as
kind of that dramatic love that's never really quite where it needs to be, and the tension that creates.
The track Wonderland is also shared between Harry and Dianna. The lyrics mention green eyes and a Cheshire cat smile. Harry grew up in Holmes Chapel, Cheshire, which I didn't even need to look up because I was there in the 2010s when it became public knowledge for Directioners. But Wonderland could also be in reference to Diana's favorite media, Alice in Wonderland. Her Tumblr user used to literally be down the rabbit hole, which is mentioned in the song. And she also used to have a Wonderland tattoo that was on her abdomen. She's since got it removed, I think. Plus, both Harry and Dianna have green eyes, though just like with Connor, Harry's is technically more green. There's also a lyric in Wonderland about being too in love to think straight, which could mean something, actually. I need another shot. Now entering into evidence, the golden years. The Gaylor theory really came into prominence in late 2013, early 2014. And that's because of this lady, Karlie Kloss. Karlie entered the runway scene in 2006 at just 14 years old. 2 years later, she walked 64 shows for the 2008 season and was a popular model for Calvin Klein and Marc Jacobs. The next year, in 2009, Vogue Paris listed her in the top 30 of 2000's models. You might say that Karlie has a big reputation. And of course, you've heard about Taylor Swift. There are two timelines to consider when looking at Karlie and Taylor's relationship: mainstream versus Gaylor. Big publications like Cosmo and Elle state that the two women entered each other's orbit sometime in early 2012. If you remember from the Dianna section, Taylor was on the cover of Vogue that year, which Dianna praised on Twitter. But in the actual interview, which was likely recorded in late 2011, Taylor is gushing about Karlie Kloss. She reportedly pointed to a picture of Karlie and said, "I want to bake cookies with her," which is obviously code for secret gay espionage. Karlie responded to this on Twitter, asking, Your kitchen or mine? Secret gay espionage. Turns out no one's kitchen. For a damn near 2 years, nothing happens between them. Just as like a note, Karlie met her future husband, Josh Kushner, in 2012. Yes, of the Kushners.
I cannot see Karlie wearing it anywhere, honestly. Like,
Not even to dinner with the Kushners?
Taylor, on the other hand, was seen with the boy, and then the newly legal boy. All the while, Gaylor suspected that she was dating Dianna. Then, in November 2013, Taylor and Karlie crossed paths again at the Victoria's Secret fashion show. Taylor is slated to perform, and she gives the best damn cover anyone has ever heard of Fall Out Boy, while Karlie walks the show. They get some cute pictures together, which Gaylor's later compared to lyrics from 1989, and so it goes, you two are dancing in a snow globe, round and round. They also take a Polaroid together, which is described in a later Vogue interview as being captioned best friends forever. And this was on their first day really meeting. Taylor and Karlie would later say that it was Lily Aldridge who introduced them.
She was like, okay, you two are kindred spirits. How have my two nice American friends never met? And that was it.
Business Insider also reports, however, that Taylor met Lily that same day. So did she meet Lily and then Lily introduced her to Karlie? Or is Business Insider fucking lying to me on my own internet bill that I pay for? Now, that was the mainstream timeline. Some Gaylors follow it, but others have created their own. One blog on Tumblr argues that Taylor and Karlie constructed the 2013 narrative to cover their tracks, arguing instead that they met at the 2008 Young Hollywood Awards. I swear when I was researching this, I saw a picture of Karlie at the venue, same carpet, same background. And she's wearing something dark. It's probably tucked in the deepest part of social media and it's just evading me out of spite. But for the life of me, I tried to find it again and it's just, girl, it's gone. I can't find it. But we do know for a fact that Taylor was in attendance. She even won an award that night. There might be a second way to confirm Karlie's attendance. So, Teen Vogue did an interview with Taylor in 2014. Breakfast with Bevan. Bevan starts reminiscing and he's like, you remember that time I introduced you to Emma Stone and Karlie Kloss? And I was standing with them in a group at this event and they're like, oh, do you know Taylor Swift? And I'm like, yeah, my close personal friend Taylor Swift. She's actually over there, so like, let's go up to her and speak. Let me introduce you guys. So word goes that he brings them up to her. They meet. And that's that. But what event did this all happen at? According to People magazine, Taylor and Emma first met, you guessed it, at the 2008 Young Hollywood Awards. There's more. Taylor also attended a 2009 Tommy Hilfiger show during New York Fashion Week, which Karlie happened to walk in. Was that one random Gaylor right? Did Karlie and Taylor meet in early 2008 and strike up a secret gay espionage relationship? Long before they finally soft launched it to the public through Vogue magazine 4 years later. Was Dianna the beard? Or were Karlie and Taylor introduced offhandedly in a dark room and didn't really hit it off until they met years later? Hard to say, surprisingly hard to say. But there's even more. You're familiar with Taylor's super popular Vogue cover in early 2012, right? 11 months after that cover, in December, Karlie was given an interview of her own. She told Vogue that she met Taylor at the Met, presumably the Met Gala, and they joked about going on a baking date together. Now, I looked into this. The only Met that they were both confirmed to be at would be in 2010 and 2011. Those same years, Taylor attended more fashion shows that Karlie just so happened to model in. So they definitely ran in the same circles or were in the same place at the same time multiple times. They could have possibly known of each other for years before they formally became friends. I don't think they have an incentive to lie about it, like some Gaylors theorize, but let's just say that they did lie, and they have known each other intimately since 2008. That would mean that Joe Jonas, Taylor Lautner and John Mayer wore beards to hide Taylor's relationship with Karlie, which diverges on the Gaylor theory that Taylor chooses women who look like the men that she is publicly dating. It's also tap dancing on the toes of the Swift-Gron theory. I mean, Taylor met Dianna in 2011, and they supposedly broke up in late 2012. Was Taylor dating both of them at the same time? Was she cheating on them? Were they off and on with each other like the goddamn polycule in Riverdale? What was that? The most sensible timeline to me is the mainstream one. Karlie and Taylor ran into each other a few times, but they only started their friendship in late 2013. From there on out, it was like driving a new Maserati down a dead-end street. Faster than the wind, passionate as sin, ended oh so suddenly. What I'm trying to say is, they click. During the 1989 secret sessions in the fall of 2014, fans spot a picture of Taylor, Karlie, and Taylor's mom, Andrea, like inside of Taylor's house, because she holds the secret sessions in her houses. They were said to be wearing winter clothing and were seemingly celebrating Andrea's birthday, which happened in January that year. This implies that pretty soon after the Victoria's Secret show, Karlie and Taylor were hanging out. Then, in March, they went public, hanging out together at the Oscars Vanity Fair party. That clearly was not enough. They have got to get closer. They decide to take a huge bonding risk by going on a road trip together. A 3-day vacation in Miami has ended longer, firmer friendships. Okay, they were taking a drastic chance. The timeline for this road trip varies. The Ultimate Kaylor Master Post suggests that it happened in late February into early March, right before the Oscars Vanity Fair party. But in a 2015 Vogue interview, Karlie and Taylor claimed that it was at that Vanity Fair party that they decided to bite the bullet.
I had been to Big Sur once before, and I was like, we should just do it.
Karlie posted photos from the road trip on March 5th, 2014. So it had to happen between the 2nd, which was the Oscars party, and the 5th. Do you think there's like a third person there with them, or are they just roughing it with a tripod? These pictures have gone multi-platinum in the Gaylor fandom because they serve as evidence of Karlie and Taylor's soulmate level connection this early into their friendship, or relationship, sorry. Also, the pictures look good. Also, there's potential Easter eggs in the pictures for future Taylor Swift projects. We'll circle back to that one later, though. Fans found out that the two stayed at Deet Jin's Inn in Big Sur during their trip. The exact cabin they stayed in was also narrowed down. Gaylors described it as cut off from the world. No internet, no cell service, or TV. AKA perfect for couples. Damn, you don't dream of going off the map with your bestie? I mean, no, you're right. Why else would two women who look scarily similar to each other and are performing secret gay espionage want to go to this random ass log cabin in the woods? Certainly Taylor Swift with her mystic romantic interest in historical artistry, and Karlie with her shared background in being super famous and super analyzed all the time, would hate going to a historical landmark patronized by renowned writers and known for its intellectual richness and solitude. They would hate that shit. They would hate it. It's gotta be secret gay espionage. I hope it is secret gay espionage. Karlie and Taylor continue to hang out throughout March and April of 2014, in between Taylor's concert dates for the Red Tour. Unrelated but kind of funny, June 10th, 2014, Karlie and Cara Delevingne, resident lesbian, are photographed kissing goodbye on the lips. Headlines refer to it as a friendly peck. Can I be friends? I want a rumor about these two tonight. June 13th, 2014, the day after Taylor's tour ends, she is right back hanging with Karlie. A month later in July, something interesting happens. Jack Antonoff, who was at the time working on parts of 1989 with Taylor, sat down with the comedian and podcaster Mark Maron. Jack starts talking about his collaborative work. He used to be in a band called Phan with Nate Ruess, who I was in love with in middle school, mind you, and who is now making music with Young Thug for some reason. But Jack also worked with the likes of Tegan and Sarah, in addition to Taylor. Women, he argues, are just better collaborators. When he imagines music, he imagines it in a higher register anyways, probably from all those years working with Nate Ruess. But there's also the politics of it all, probably because all those years of working with Nate Ruess. Working with men can be uncomfortable, he argues, because they expect him, and they expect themselves, to perform patriarchal masculinity. And Jack claims that he doesn't like patriarchal masculinity.
There's a better chance that if I'm working with a woman, we're going to get along. They're not going to say, I just plied through these 4 guys over the weekend, bro.
Mark is in on the joke, and he's like, oh, so like Taylor's not going to come to the studio and talk about banging 4 guys? And Jack says no. That's why he likes working with women, he says, and gay women especially. There's a pause in the conversation.
Yeah.
And then Mark, almost flabbergasted, asks,
Is she gay?
No, but I work a lot with Tegan and Sarah. And
okay.
So
I was like,
okay, I could see why people think this moment is Jack accidentally outing Taylor. It's the sequence of names that's being shared here. It starts with Tegan and Sarah, who are lesbians. And then he mentions Taylor Swift. By the time they get to the conversation about patriarchal misogyny in the music industry, Mark Maron has probably already forgotten that Tegan and Sarah were ever brought up. But Jack clearly hadn't. That's why he says, I like working with women, aka Taylor Swift, and comma, especially, as a separate adjective, gay women, aka Tegan and Sarah. Gaylor's ran with it, but you know. Anyways, back to Kaylor. The summer of 2014 belonged to them. They were at the gym, getting lunch, separating briefly to do work-related things, but then running back to each other's apartment in the evening for dinner. There's also a picture of Karlie opening a door and Taylor puts her hand over Karlie's to open it too. Here they are at a Knicks game, holding hands again, even at the AMAs together, recreating the iconic scene from Ghost. Oh, speaking of the AMAs, Dianna comes up to Taylor and Karlie, who have been trying to breach each other's skin for the past however long. And, it's just to say hello. It's the first time she has publicly been seen with Taylor in almost 2 years. Afterwards, for whatever reason, you can see her sitting just behind Karlie. She has to watch as Karlie and Taylor resume the skin burrowing. In August of that year, rumors circulate that Karlie and Taylor are living together, and not platonically. There are reports that Karlie's team responded, saying that it was untrue. In early September, ahead of the release of 1989, Rolling Stone publishes The Reinvention of Taylor Swift. It ultimately has little to do with Karlie besides a few friendly mentions, but it eerily parallels the theme of this investigation. Beyond emphasizing that she's not dating and hasn't since early 2013, that being the era of Harry and Diana, Taylor also makes frequent, desperate appeals for privacy.
There's someone whose entire job it is to figure out things that I don't want the world to see. They look at your career, they look at what you prioritize, and they try to figure out what would be the most revealing or hurtful.
She articulates an innate fear of the camera. Everywhere she goes, everything she does is captured and added to this board of conspiracy, especially in the past 2 years. Who is she dating? When did they break up? Will she write a song about them?
I feel like watching my dating life has become a bit of a national pastime, and I'm just not comfortable providing that kind of entertainment anymore.
The entire point of Gaylorism is to uncover a series of relationships that Gaylors themselves admit that Taylor is trying to desperately hide from the public. Their job is, as Taylor said, to figure out things that she doesn't want the world to know. Now, coming to terms with that reality would be disastrous for a fan's psyche. So Gaylors do what other fandoms in this situation have done themselves. They lie. In a new reality of their own making, they argue that Taylor Swift is trying to hide her queer relationships, but not from them, just the rest of the world. She appreciates their digging. She sends personal signals to them and flags her queerness to them because she knows that they'll understand. Gaylors are her friends, the only people in the world she's out to. Coming out to the general public as queer would damage her reputation, they argue, but their constant attempts to out her isn't malicious. It doesn't matter what she says in interviews. She's not talking about them. But what's more interesting is that Gaylors aren't the only Swifties that do this. Taylor criticizes the public's obsession with the men she dates far more than she has ever directly criticized the Gaylors.
I don't like seeing slideshows of guys I've apparently dated. I don't like giving comedians the opportunity to make jokes about me at award shows. I don't like it when headlines read, "Careful, bro, she'll write a song about you," because it trivializes my work. And most of all, I don't like how all of these factors add up to build the pressure so high in a new relationship that it gets snuffed out before it even has a chance to start.
And yet most other Swifties, dare I call them hetlors, make it seem like their speculation is normal, while the Gaylors are abnormal. I don't agree with Gaylors on a fundamental level. Taylor Swift, to me, reads as the straightest, whitest woman on the planet, maybe even in a few different universes. And you guys know it pains me to say that. The Shakespeare agenda is practically a Republican talking point. I want transgender for everyone. I want gay for everyone. I want DEI, communist revolution. And if y'all don't behave, I want white replacement. I can't say that. I'm joking. You guys know I'm joking. They're gonna put that shit on Fox News. Regardless of my agenda, I have to call it like I see it. Taylor Swift is culturally, painfully heterosexual. To me. Listen to this quote from that interview.
Since she's been single, Swift has been acquiring girlfriends with the fervor she once devoted to landing guys. I mean, when your number one priority is getting a boyfriend, you're more inclined to see a beautiful girl and think, she's gonna get that hot guy I wish I was dating. But when you're not boyfriend shopping, you're able to, step back and see other girls who are killing it and think, God, I want to be around her.
Competing against beautiful women to gain the attention of mediocre men? Only appreciating a woman's beauty once you no longer feel threatened by her proximity to said mediocre man? That's textbook cis heteropatriarchy, my love. And that is not the country I know and serve. But I do agree with Gaylors when they say that the world disproportionately targets them, especially when it comes to the conversations of being intrusive or going against Taylor's wishes, when that relates to 99% of Swifties, straight ones especially. Like I said earlier, Hailers were configuring the exact commute time between Harry and Taylor's houses in 2014. People are on Reddit writing fan fiction about how Maddie Healy would propose to Taylor Swift, while others brag about searching like the FBI to cement their theory that Taylor and Maddie had a decade-long situationship while she was still dating Joe Alwyn. Yes, some Gaylors believe that Karlie and Taylor are still together and currently raising Karlie's 3 children. And, Travis and Taylor fans are on Instagram speculating on Maine about how many football babies he's going to put into her womb. There are Joe widows who had to be wheeled out by Taylor's publicist Tree Payne herself because their favorite conspiracy theory is that Joe and Taylor had a secret wedding ceremony and that Travis is somehow a beard for Taylor so that she can continue dating Joe in secret. I had to read that with my own 2 eyes. And yet, despite all of that, Hetlers depict Gaylors as uniquely evil. I've seen people compare them to literal Nazis, arguing that the subs need to be purged and their active users need to be put on a FBI watch list. Reddit shouldn't allow them to exist, one user stated. Another describes them as incel lesbians who are literally going to murder Taylor and Travis. That is, I guess, when they're not too busy indoctrinating little kids into their cult. Most of this language is a conservative dog whistle, and yet it barely brushes the surface of the homophobia that Gaylors have experienced. Gaylors have been doxxed, harassed, and made into the fandom spectacle for doing the same exact thing that most other Taylor Swift fans, and dare I say even other celebrities, are doing. Everyone is weird here. If you are on the internet long enough to start conspiracy boarding about your favorite celebrity, you are weird. Anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is a liar. And it has nothing to do with sexuality. Just say it with your chest. I know I'm weird. I wear that badge like it's the Nobel Peace Prize, okay? None of this is an excuse for the Gaylor conspiracy, obviously, but I do think it's a valid observation, one that Taylor herself makes in this Rolling Stone interview and in future projects. I need a cigarette. Okay, let's go back to Kaylor, shall we? So early September, we get that Rolling Stone article. The next month, Taylor performs I Knew You Were Trouble at the iHeartRadio Music Awards, and it seems like she struggles to remember the song's lyrics. Okay. 1989 is released in October of that year, and the opening track, Welcome to New York, documents Taylor's move to the city and the, welcoming nature that she and other transplants feel. It features the lyrics, "You can want who you want, boys and boys, and girls and girls." In November, BuzzFeed uses Karlie and Taylor as templates for bestie soulmates, which Taylor and Karlie happily share on their respective social media. December is where it all goes down for Gaylors. Karlie and Taylor had a beautiful summer, and then autumn of secret gay espionage. And then, December 4th, 2014, Karlie and Taylor attend the 1975's concert. Footage from that night is dark and grainy, but it's clear that Kaylor are having a good time. They're hugging, they're screaming in each other's ears over the music, Wait a minute. They're giving each other a friendly peck? People think they're kissing. And by people, I don't even just mean Gaylors. This shit has breached containment. In what has since been referred to as Kissgate by Gaylors, Karlie and Taylor became the center of a media avalanche. News publications move in mysterious ways. Not even 24 hours after the concert, BuzzFeed puts out the most hilariously on-the-nose article in its entire publication history.
Karlie Kloss has a super cute boyfriend. Josh Kushner is what's up. While we've all been hypnotized by how adorable Taylor Swift and her best friend Karlie Kloss are, we've missed that Karlie has a super cute boyfriend that makes us want to be her more than ever.
It's so on the nose that it's almost suspicious. And so suspicious that for a second, girl, I almost started believing in Gaylor. It's a nothing burger of an article with no real purpose other than to remind everyone 2 years after they started dating that Karlie and Josh are in a committed, monogamous, loving relationship. Here he is in a tux. He's crazy smart. And the best thing about him, he's crazy about Karlie. Again, who is the PR agent? This was a horrible choice. Not only does it make Karlie and Taylor actually look like they were sucking face at the 1975 concert, but it also makes me side-eye Karlie and Josh's relationship. Like, are y'all bearding on the low for realsies? Or Taylor also seems to do some PR of her own. On December 8th, a few days before her birthday, she tweeted,
"As my 25th birthday present from the media, I'd like for you to stop accusing all of my friends of dating me. Hashtag thirsty.
According to one Gaylor on Tumblr, Taylor also started liking anti-Kaylor posts on the website.
She's never reacted like this toward any other shippers, ever. Like, Swearin was fine, Taylina was fine, but Kaylor? Oh, that one she just had to address.
One post even allegedly called Kaylor shippers freaks. This whole thing just confirmed what I already knew. That the 1975 is a group of domestic terrorists and are the worst thing to ever happen to Swifties and the world. Some Gaylors speculate that had Kissgate never happened and had Taylor's album 1989 never exploded the way it did, maybe Karlie and her would have eventually come out.
Listen, the unprecedented success of 1989 put her in the media and general public's good graces for the first time in a long time. The infamous Kanye incident of 2009 made her into a punchline, and by the Red era, her reputation as a serial dater was sealed. She managed a pretty complete rebrand in 2014, and I don't think she anticipated just how widely successful it would be. So coming out had to be off the table until things started coming down from the 1989 high.
Directly after Kissgate, Gaylors get a few Karlie crumbs. Taylor performed again at the 2014 Victoria's Secret fashion show, which Karlie, of course, walked in. It was taped in November and aired on December 9th, 5 days after Kissgate. Taylor and Karlie attended a viewing party with the other Victoria's Secret angels that night, but by December 29th, the media storm was still raging. OK Magazine splashed Taylor and Karlie on their front page, and within the article, confirmed Taylor and Karlie to be dating.
Taylor and Karlie had chemistry from the moment they met. And while Taylor has never been attracted to women before, she quickly developed feelings for Karlie.
Karlie is seen leaving Taylor's house a few times throughout December, and they also celebrate her birthday together on the 13th. On the 11th of December, the two sit down to record their joint Vogue interview, which will be released in the following year in February. A snippet reads,
"Devoting this much time to our female friendships started out as a reaction," Swift says, "to the way people were overreacting to my life. I was really irritated by the whole serial dater play that people tried to make about me.
It was rare. I was there. I remember it all too well." Almost a decade after this interview, Taylor would re-release 1989, her version. In the prologue to the album, she shares a similar frustration with the way her dating life is analyzed in the media. This time, however, she references the 2014 Gaylor storm directly.
You see, in the years preceding 2014, I had become the target of slut-shaming, the intensity and relentlessness of which would be criticized and called out if it happened today, the jokes about my amount of boyfriends, the trivialization of my songwriting as if it were a predatory act of a boy-crazy psychopath, the media co-signing of this narrative. I had to make it stop, because it was starting to really hurt. It became clear to me that for me, there was no such thing as casual dating or even having a male friend who you platonically hang out with. If I was seen with him, it was assumed that I was sleeping with him. And so I swore off hanging out with guys, dating, flirting, or anything that could be weaponized against me by a culture that claimed to believe in liberating women, but consistently treated me with the harsh moral codes of the Victorian era. Being a consummate optimist, I assumed I could fix this if I simply changed my behavior. I swore off dating and decided to focus only on myself, my music, my growth, and my female friendships. If I only hung out with my female friends, people couldn't sensationalize or sexualize that, right? I would learn later on that people could and people would.
2015. The internet is divided over a dress that is clearly blue and black, yet liars claim it's white and gold. One Direction announces the departure of Zayn Malik, leading me and my friends to cause a purely embarrassing scene in the middle of class. Justin Bieber is still light-skinned, which makes sense because the world is doing the nay-nay, and this is the last normal year Taylor Swift gets before the incident. In February, we get the joint Kaylor Vogue interview and photo shoot, where they recreate their iconic road trip to Big Sur. It's accompanied by this Galentine's video released on the Vogue YouTube channel, in which Karlie and Taylor compete for the best friend title. The bestest of best friend. And look, admittedly, there is some crazy eye contact going on in this video. Okay, as the Larrys would say, bitches be fawning. On the 17th of February, Karlie and Taylor attend an Oscar de la Renta show together, in which Taylor refuses a comment to a journalist, arguing that her publicist would be mad at her. For what? We don't know. I'm just glad she has a publicist. Like, holy shit. Around this time, Taylor attends the Elle Style Awards, where she is presented with the Woman of the Year award. Karlie is there, resident lesbian Cara Delevingne is there, and so is Ellie Goulding. Now, I have this theory that Ellie Goulding hates Taylor Swift's guts and wants her dead, because at this award show, she introduces Taylor to one of her biggest ops, and that is Calvin Harris. The next day after this award show, Karlie and Taylor attend the Brit Awards, and they also go to the after party. So does Calvin. Here he is with Taylor and Tree, the mythical magical publicist, and rumors are circulating that day that Calvin and Taylor were flirting all night at the party, dancing, holding hands, the whole shebang. The only problem is Calvin has a girlfriend. Or he had one, because 2 weeks after all of this hand-holding and dancing with our hands tied, some may even say, it's reported that Calvin and his girlfriend broke up sometime around the Brits. End quote. AKA a big PR blimp that reads, I did not cheat on my girlfriend. We learn later that Taylor and Calvin officially started dating on March 6, 2015, but they don't start doing public excursions until the end of the month. Gaylors immediately pounce on this. They claim that the entire relationship was orchestrated to distract the public from Kissgate. And hey, maybe the timing is a little convenient, but my thing is, if Kaylor really wanted to distance themselves from romance rumors, why on God's green earth would they then do a joint Vogue interview mere weeks after Kissgate when they are recreating their biggest romantically rumored event, the Big Sur road trip? But fine, I'll entertain it. Show me the evidence. Of course, there's the footage of Calvin, Taylor, and Tree talking at the Brit Awards, which raises some Gaylor brows. Introducing a guy you just met to your publicist is questionable. But, I don't know, maybe Taylor and Tree are close. A month later, Taylor, Tree, and Calvin attend a Kenny Chesney concert together. Now, this makes sense too. Taylor performed at that Kenny Chesney concert. She wasn't just there for a good time. So, of course, her publicist would also be there. Gaylors concede to this. They're like, okay, yeah, that can make sense. But they did some further digging and found out that Calvin's manager was also at the concert. This is too many coworkers in one arena, and we all saw how that went last time. Gaylor speculate that this concert is where they finalized the bearding contract, which they could have done in an office or at their house or even via email, but you know, white people can't resist Kenny Chesney for some reason. They just had to break bread, do some business at that concert, okay? Another piece of bearding evidence is surprisingly political. The Kaylor Master Post argues that Calvin has a history of going on misogynistic and racist rants on Twitter. I couldn't personally verify these rants, and I'm not about to pay real money to read an article about it on the Daily Beast of all places. Sorry. But Gaylors argue that if these allegations are true, Taylor, who was relatively silent about politics except when championing white neoliberal feminism, couldn't possibly want to date a guy like that? Unless she was forced to, of course.
Taylor had been preaching her feminism spiel for over a year. And then suddenly 40 days before her world tour, she's dating someone who's sexist? Fast forward over a year and this still doesn't add up.
Oh, to live in a fantasy land. Extremely privileged white women like Taylor Swift, whose feminism is whitewashed like Taylor Swift's, have a long documented and pesky habit of dating bigoted men. Hello, Matt Healy's calling. Their whitewashed feminism doesn't seek to liberate anyone. It seeks to obtain the same power as the bigoted men who they love. White feminism was very hostile to Black feminist intervention. Why do you think so many white feminist icons were so cold towards racial civil rights? But I digress. Evidence number 3. The paparazzi. Gaylor's claim that Taylor and Calvin worked with the paparazzi to sensationalize their PR relationship.
A lot of times, they go through a PR company called AKM GSI, the same people she used for Jake G. And if you look at their tagline, it says PR for hire. You'll see they use another PR service called Flame Flynet, the same people she used for Harry most times.
These companies have since merged to become Backgrid, a paparazzi hosting site which also has a reputation for providing staged photo shoots. Gaylors are right. There is a precedent to this theory. The Guardian uncovered it all in this 2022 piece. The featured paparazzi argue that gone are the days of Britney Diana bloodshed. They get paid way less money now that social media is king. As such, the fervor to catch a celebrity has apparently died down. Some celebrities have struck up a relationship with paparazzi. Rihanna apparently has a favorite that she works with. These paparazzi claim that if a celebrity wants to be papped, they'll arrange it ahead of time. If they want to go incognito, they'll find a way to do so. But that doesn't mean that this is foolproof.
As a rule of thumb, the more famous someone is, the less likely they are to do this. Although there are high-profile exceptions.
Today, Taylor is still accused of doing PR stunts with men, including her very soon-to-be husband, Travis Kelce. I mean, what can I say? The lady is dedicated. On the Kaylor side of things, 2015 is a little dry. Mid-April, Taylor shoots the music video for Bad Blood, a girl power anthem / Katy Perry takedown. In it, Karlie and Taylor perform the second most homoerotic sport in history. Boxing. The first is whatever WWE got going on in that arena. I don't know. After that, Karlie isn't in Taylor's orbit until the end of May. On break from the 1989 World Tour, Taylor hosts a pool party with Calvin Harris, and Karlie is nowhere to be seen. But in late June, Karlie and crew from the Bad Blood music video come out on stage with Taylor at, I think it was at MetLife. A day later, Cosmo reports that Taylor and Calvin, along with Gigi Hadid and Joe Jonas of all people, took a romantic boat ride on the river. Karlie, who's still dating Josh Kushner, might I add, tags along by herself as a fifth wheel. She's also wheeling it up on July 4th when Taylor hosts her annual Colonial State party. On July 10th, someone captures video of Karlie meeting up with Tree, Taylor's publicist, backstage at MetLife Stadium. Gaylors argue that the two look awfully chummy in the video, and Tree even seems to know Karlie's sister, well enough apparently to give her a hug, which can only mean one thing. Kaylor confirmed. It's funny because Calvin hanging out with Tree is cause for suspicion, but Karlie hanging out with Tree makes perfect sense. The security guard is also a major focus from the video. One Gaylor states,
"The poor security guard sounded so stressed out. Taylor had clearly put pressure on him to get Karlie to her immediately. They spent time together after the show, and Karlie went to the second night, so they knew they would see each other, but that wasn't enough."
I mean, sure. Let's speed this up. August 30th, Karlie taps Taylor on the butt, and after winning an award for the Bad Blood music video, Taylor is seen running backstage to catch up with Karlie. In October, there are rumors of a breakup between Taylor and Calvin, but Tree shuts it down expeditiously. The year closes with the 1989 World Tour documentary, which has a special section filmed by Karlie, and Calvin spends Christmas with Taylor and the rest of her family. The end. Video over. 2016 was bad. Not just for Taylor as a person or Kaylor as a ship. Girl, this was everyone's apocalypse. In February of 2016, Kanye West reignited his near decade-long beef with Taylor by releasing the track Famous. He swings right out of the gate with the lyrics, "I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous." Misogyny. Undeniably misogynistic. And the music video is somehow even worse. It shows a naked, lifelike sculpture of Taylor, Kim, and others in bed with a naked Kanye West. Taylor's reps immediately criticized the song. Interestingly enough, Karlie had attended a Yeezy fashion show the night before and posted pictures of herself wearing his brand. Scandalous. As Famous made the rounds the following day, Karlie deleted the photo. Come March 2016, Karlie and Taylor were hanging out regularly again. Gym, lunch, shopping, the usual. Calvin's there too, unfortunately. On March 6th, Taylor posted a photo of a locket that Calvin apparently gifted her in celebration of their 1-year anniversary. That same day, for some reason, Karlie posted a picture of herself in Paris standing on the iconic Lock Bridge with the caption, "Love Locked Down." Get it? Locket, lock down, lock bridge. Gaylors argue that maybe March 6th is actually Karlie and Taylor's anniversary. I mean, they got back from their Big Sur trip around this time, so maybe it checks out. A week or so later, Taylor and Calvin take a vacation together, which they publicize very heavily on social media. There's a photo of their initials written in the sand, just like how Taylor and Karlie did on their Big Sur road trip. It took me 15 gay seconds of going, who the fuck is AW? Before I finally looked it up. Calvin Harris isn't even this man's real name. What else is he lying about? March 18th, Taylor returns from her vacation and throws Karlie's sister a birthday party at Omnia. Calvin Harris happened to DJ that night. As a gift, I guess. I don't know. A man DJing just gives me the ick. A few weeks later, Taylor wins an iHeartRadio award and mentions Calvin in her acceptance speech.
For the first time, I had the most amazing person to come home to when the spotlight went out and when the crowds were all gone.
Girl, you are in a ride for your lifetime when we get to the month of May. Just you wait. Gaylors believe that in an April 19th Vogue interview, Taylor references her secret gay espionage with Karlie Kloss.
My wife and I's anniversary is coming up. Where should I take her?
Congratulations, and you should take her to Big Sur.
I mean, then again, she's gone there before and after Karlie, so maybe she just likes Big Sur. Like, fuck. Everyone in California apparently likes Big Sur. Not everything is about romance, guys. But don't worry, there are other Kaylor crumbs. They attend Coachella with a bunch of friends and watch Calvin Harris perform. Again, this seems to finally give Taylor the ick because come May 4th, she is plotting her escape, okay? Taylor, use the force. This is not the man you're looking for. Okay, the Met Gala. Too much is happening and it's about to get white people messy, which is the funniest kind of messy. Taylor is with 3 people that night. 2 of which we know for certain because there's video proof, and 1 of which we don't find out about for another year. Karlie, of course, is there at the Met, and they are dancing the night away. Tom Hiddleston is also there, and he's dancing too. Joe Alwyn, person number 3, is also in attendance, and he is bald as hell, baby. Flashback when you met me, your buzz cut, my hair bleached. Taylor Swift was busy that night, okay? Busier than Alison De Laurentiis the night she disappeared. But funnily enough, Calvin Harris is nowhere to be found. May 20th. May 20th, Calvin Harris gets into a car crash. He survives, but only because Karlie is new to offensive driving. She tried to mow his ass down, but she missed. At this point, Taylor is clearly like, what do I have to do to get rid of his ass? Seeing him in a cast sealed the deal. As the bells tolled on the crisp morning of June 1st, 2016, the start of Pride Month no less, people reported that Adam Wiles, aka Calvin Harris, and Taylor Swift were officially donezo. Calvin confirmed it on his Twitter 2 days later, writing,
"The only truth is that a relationship came to an end, and what remains is a huge amount of love and respect."
Meanwhile, Taylor has a bazooka aimed right at that noggin. Quick, duck! June 15th, 2 weeks after people reported her split with Calvin, Taylor was papped near her Rhode Island home with none other than Tom Hiddleston. She hates this man's guy. Calvin crashed out accordingly. That same day, he unfollowed Taylor and Taylor's brother Austin. He deleted all of their pictures together, and he deleted his post-breakup tweet, where he said that he loved and respected Taylor. City Girls up 1 million points. Taylor and Tom would go on to gallivant around the world for the next month, including the god-awful spectacle on the 4th of July. The 4th of July is always at the scene of the crime, where Tom wore an I Heart Taylor Swift tank top. She's better than me because that would have given me life-threatening ick. To make matters worse, on July 17th, Kim Kardashian released a recorded phone call where she alleges Taylor gave consent to Kanye to make his song famous. Spoiler alert, Taylor gave half consent to the misogyny. The Taylor Swift and I might still have sex bit was okay with her, but him calling her a bitch was where she drew the line. It was actually never brought up in conversation, at least on the video that Kim Kardashian shared. Regardless, the narrative of Taylor co-writing the lyrics at worst or giving him permission to use them at slightly less worse went mainstream. Taylor became a social pariah overnight, and Snakegate was born. Around this time, Taylor and Tom are seen together for the last time. By September, their breakup is confirmed, but Kaylor is still going relatively strong. Taylor FaceTimes Karlie on her birthday in August, and Karlie shares a photo of it on her social media. Gaylors go wild because it kind of seems romantic. Karlie also does an interview with Vanity Fair where they kind of force her to talk about Kim Kardashian. Karlie says that Kim is a lovely person whom she doesn't know all that well. Given the circumstances, it don't look too good for the Gaylors. On August 15th, Karlie tweeted,
"I will not allow the media to misconstrue my words. Taylor has always had my back, and I will always have hers."
Free now from the terrorism of Calvin and Tom, Taylor returns to doing her whole girl squad thing. She hangs out with Karlie a few times, including dinners and birthday parties, but it doesn't last very long. We know from the deluxe edition of the Lover album, which was released in 2019, that Taylor had been secretly dating Joe Alwyn for a few months, long before it became public knowledge in May of 2017. In a January 2017 diary entry, Taylor writes that her and Joe have been together for 3 months now, placing the start of their relationship sometime after late September 2016. On November 8th of that same year, Donald Trump gets elected president of the United States. The first time. Which seems like it would mean nothing for Kaylor, except if you remember, Karlie's longtime glasses-wearing boyfriend, Josh, is a Kushner. His brother Jared married Trump's daughter Ivanka in 2009, and he would go on to serve as Trump's senior advisor during his first term for some goddamn reason. So yeah, you can imagine with all of this going on in the background, when Karlie wishes a happy birthday to Taylor on social media that year, Taylor doesn't even acknowledge it. 2017. It is donezo for Kaylor. But humor me for a second. No longer is Taylor the princess of pop or America's country sweetheart. She is a snake, a cheater, and a liar. But she's she's also in love. Her 6th studio album, Reputation, was released in November of 2017. I like to think of it as a concept album. It's Taylor Swift the brand commenting on love, fame, and revenge. You have to peel back the layer, the beetle-like shell of dark glamour, the version of Taylor that everyone else sees, to get something a little more authentic. It's not her most vulnerable work, nor is it her most technical, but it's an album that had to happen. The physical copies of the album include a short essay, which serves as a prologue. It's thick with secrecy and mystique. No one will ever truly know her the way they think they do, she writes. And this album is here to prove it.
Gossip blogs will scour the lyrics for the men they can attribute to each song, as if the inspiration for music is as simple and as basic as a paternity test. There will be slideshows of photos backing up each incorrect theory.
Like clockwork, Cosmo asks on the day of release, which songs are about Calvin Harris? NME spit shines their investigative skills with an article titled Taylor Swift's Reputation, all the references to actual people. The world is doing what it feels most comfortable doing to Taylor Swift and any other acclaimed woman in the industry, reducing their work, their drive, their bodies, and their reputations to other people, namely men. But Gaylors are also searching for answers. Despite the food desert they have been living in terms of Kaylor, some Gaylors actually believe that the album is about Karlie.
She's really out here telling everyone that they don't know her on an album largely centered around the themes of secrecy and hidden love. You do the math. Another user argues. I consider Reputation to be Taylor and Karlie's I'm so in love that I might stop breathing album. This is the honeymoon. This is the up all night, can't stop, won't stop, I need you more than air kind of love.
They argue that due to the socio-political climate of Trump's first reign, Kaylor had to go underground to protect themselves. Funnily enough, some Gaylors argue that Jared and Ivanka are also secretly gay and that they're in a lavender marriage to protect themselves from Trump. I mean, like, whatever. Where's my lighter? Reputation to me has always felt like a pondering of new love, backdropped by chaos. But to use Gaylor's logic, maybe something happened in the Kaylor relationship that's 4 years long at this point, to where it felt new again. Maybe something changed within Taylor herself and she felt liberated enough to finally be honest about her past bearding and her secret gay espionage. Maybe Gaylor is on the brink of coming out. Except, at the Reputation Secret Sessions, Taylor explained each love song on the album as being about her angel boyfriend of 1 year, end quote, Joe Alwyn. One fan in attendance took to Tumblr afterwards, stating,
basically, Taylor made us all promise that if anyone made any accusations about who the song is about, we tell them it is 100% about her angel boyfriend of 1 year. This isn't really a secret. She wanted us to tell people.
Now, Gaylors can't make sense of this, right? Up to that point, Taylor had been pretty stern with herself about not naming specific muses for her work. She even reiterates this in the album's prologue. And yet, Gaylors argue, here she is apparently doing exactly what she hates. The dissonance between who they know Taylor to be and what she's saying now is mind-melting. There can only be one explanation. Secret gay espionage. Gaylors claim that the track Don't Blame Me is about Karlie. It all comes down to this lyric. I once was poison ivy, but now I'm your daisy. Recall, if you will, once again, the spontaneous Big Sur road trip that Karlie and Taylor took in 2014. In the pictures Karlie shared on Instagram, you can see her wearing a yellow daisy. She even posted a solo shot of the daisy in which she tagged Taylor. Daisies have since become Kaylor symbols. So imagine everyone's surprise when the song dropped. And in the lyric booklet, there's a drawing of a daisy. It sits kind of similarly to the one in Karlie's picture. It even has a similar amount of leaves. There's also the matter of religion. Taylor plays a lot with the concept of eternal damnation, probably because of her southern roots, or probably because she's been trying to skinwalk Lana Del Rey for ever at this point. And don't blame me, she says, I would fall from grace just to touch your face. And Gaylors argue, why would touching a random cis-hetero white man's face bring her eternal damnation? The Bible notoriously only has one rule. Thou shall touch a random cis-hetero white man's face. And that's why I'm going to hell, baby, because I refuse. I'm not fucking doing that.
A fall from grace, that has connotations of religion, sin, public rejection, all of which are understandable fears if Taylor is in a relationship with a woman, and none of which makes any sense if she's in a relationship with a sweet, boring British boy who no one knows and who has no scandal whatsoever attached to his name.
I think this specific Gaylor backlash ignores Taylor's history of being slut-shamed for dating, you guessed it, random white cis-hetero men. She has fallen from grace numerous times in the eyes of the public, whom expects her to be prim, proper, and virginal for the rest of her life. I think this is one of the downsides to being known as an autobiographical artist. Everything you put out is expected now to be literal. Metaphors, poetics, none of that is allowed to exist anymore in your universe, lest someone thinks you're being literal or that you're hiding something about your life. And speaking of being literal, Taylor makes a few references to blue eyes on the album. Now that matches Joe, but remember the Gaylor theory is that she does stunts with men who look like her supposed girlfriend, just so she can write about her girlfriend in her songs. In this case, it would be Karlie, but Karlie has hazel eyes. Kaylor's clamor to say that Karlie's eyes sometimes look blue to kind of explain away why Taylor is singing about blue eyes. But other Gaylors have given up on that entirely. They argue that there is a different muse, not Karlie, but someone else. Now entering into evidence, Lily Donaldson. If you couldn't tell, there is a major rift in the Gaylor faction about what woman Taylor is dating at any given time. Late-stage Kaylors think that she's been dating Karlie since the 2010s, and is still with her to this day. Other Gaylors think that her and Karlie broke up sometime in 2016, or maybe they were on and off again. Either way, this makes room for another woman, Lily Donaldson. Blue eyes. I debated on including this theory in the video because quite frankly, it's not that compelling. Gaylors note that before Reputation was released, Lily started wearing a lot of snake jewelry.
Listen, Lily started wearing very expensive Bulgari snake necklaces and jewelry starting in December 2016. Most probably it was either brought by Lily herself to show support for Taylor and, have a personal connection with her at public events, or it was brought by Taylor as a gift for Lily. No one else would have any reason to deck Lily out in expensive snake jewelry for 3 to 4 months. I mean, the jewelry wasn't even given to her as a gift by Bulgari or as part of a modeling deal.
Snakes, of course, became a symbol for Taylor in July of 2016, but Lily was wearing snake jewelry way before that. Much earlier, might I add, than the reported December. Here's a photo of her wearing a Bulgari snake necklace in May of that year. And here she is again in 2009, wearing another snake necklace. Gaylors also argue that Lily doesn't like flashy jewelry, and so she wouldn't be wearing something as spectacular as Bulgari. Unless, of course, it was to support Taylor. Bulgari, they argue, is also really expensive, and so Lily couldn't possibly afford it on account of her being, a broke-ass bitch, apparently. I mean, it's not like she's a successful model with a net worth of millions of dollars or anything. There's only one explanation. Secret gay espionage. Gaylors argue that Taylor is the one who brought Lily the jewelry, which makes no sense if we're being honest. Let's say, for a second, that Taylor was dating Lily. She would therefore know her dislikes and likes. She would know that Lily doesn't like flashy, expensive, high-profile jewelry like Bulgari. And yet, Taylor buys her exactly that just so that Lily can selfishly promote Taylor's album and flag to Gaylors that they're in a secret gay romance. This theory makes it sound like Taylor hates Lily's guts. Other theories are as follows. Taylor filmed the in-game music video in Kentish Town, London. Lily Donaldson is from Kentish Town, London, but so is Joe Alwyn. Taylor posts herself painting her lover's brother's room. Lily has a brother, but so does Joe Alwyn. Shit, so do I, kind of. Lily loves painting. Taylor started painting in 2016. Coincidence? I think not. In 2015, Lily posted a video of the stormy skyline with some mountains in the background. Lightning strikes every time she moves. Gaylors argue that Taylor saw this post and got inspired to write This Is What You Came For. You know, the Calvin Harris song with Rihanna that released in early 2016. The cover art for that song is a bunch of mountains with a lightning strike. Tilly confirmed. The only thing I find remotely agreeable is this Snapchat Lily made in November 2016. Taylor apparently picked her up from the airport, and Lily filmed Taylor driving, captioning it, "My Uber driver is so pretty." Bar the fact that straight girls act like this all the time, trust me, I was a baby queer in high school, and I got some really confusing signals from my straight friends. But, you know, I see the vision. Taylor Swift was dating Lily Donaldson. I just confirmed it. But she was also dating Karlie Kloss. No. Karlie was a beard for Lily. And Joe was a beard for Karlie, who was a beard for Lily. It's beardception, don't you get it? The cigarette wasn't enough, I need the bottle. In January 2018, Calvin Harris tweeted,
"Last year I grew a big ol' beard in order to be taken seriously by the Grammys as a producer. It worked to an extent. My Producer of the Year nomination came through, and I was happy the beard was performing as well as I had hoped. But unfortunately, this weekend, I learned that even a new beard has its limitations. On Sunday, I lost out to the incredible Greg Kirsten. A big old beard can only take you so far. An important lesson learned that I am happy to pass forward to all of you good people."
Admittedly an odd post, but ultimately a bit of a nothing burger. As you can expect, the frequent mentions of beards set off Gaylor's alarm bells. I mean, he did have a beard, as in literal facial hair, but Gaylors have transcended that mortal thinking. You see, these tweets, while nothing burger in nature, have an almost sassy tone to them. Some Gaylors argue that this is Calvin Harris forcibly outing Taylor Swift for using beards. I got a few issues with this. One, he tweeted this in 2018, and he mentions growing a beard the year prior, in 2017. He and Taylor began dating in 2015 and broke up in the summer of 2016. So if he's outing her for using him as a beard, he's off by an entire year. And his phrasing is backwards. I mean, I grew a beard means I started dating someone to hide my sexuality, not the other way around. Taylor would be the one who is growing a beard, not Calvin. Could he be taking shots at Taylor and her new beard, Joe? Maybe. He waited 7 months after finding out about Joe to do it for some reason, but sure. Viewer, is it more likely that he's making a joke about actual facial hair and isn't mentioning his ex Taylor Swift at all? Also, maybe. In February of 2018, Taylor is spotted in Big Sur. This is great news for Gaylors because it's close to the anniversary that she took the trip with Karlie Kloss. Fans track her location down and realize that she is only a 6-minute drive from Dietjen's Inn, where the two stayed during their 2014 trip. Juicy. Karlie also seems to be in the area. She posted about being in Half Moon Bay with her sister around the same time that Taylor was reported to be at the falconry class in Big Sur. But Big Sur is massive. According to a map, a decent chunk of the California coastline is considered Big Sur. And when you look closer, Half Moon Bay is almost 3 hours away from the eco resort that Taylor was staying at. That's a long drive even from me, and I'm in the South where it's very normal to drive an hour for groceries. Who knows? Maybe they made the journey. Maybe Karlie lied and said she was in Half Moon Bay when really she was handling falcons with Taylor up north. Strange no one saw her though, even though everyone saw Taylor. For those of us still in reality, not me, but Taylor and Karlie have not hung out in over a year at this point. And the media has noticed. Again, in February 2018, Jennifer Lawrence stated in an interview,
I mean, honestly, I'd like to know what's going on between Karlie Kloss and Taylor Swift.
Is she referencing secret gay espionage, or has she just noticed that they're not performing their friendship for the cameras anymore? Hard to say. As Pride Month rolls in on June 1st, 2018, Taylor likes a post on Tumblr that says that her songs Delicate, Gorgeous, and Dress belong to the gays. The first thing I've agreed with this whole investigation. Dress is a Woolawa song, and I am tired of pretending it's not. Our secret moments in a crowded room. All of this silence and patience and pining and anticipation. I don't want you like a best friend. Oh, that's gay. That is gay. That was nice. I want you to always remember this warm feeling of gayness, okay? Because it's about to get rough for the Kaylors. On July 24th, 2018, Karlie posted on Instagram that she was getting a brand new dress of her own. A wedding dress. Because her and her longtime boyfriend with glasses, Josh Kushner, proposed. That could, put a wrench in things. But Gaylors have an explanation. Karlie and Taylor are doing their secret gay espionage, and Josh is fine with it because he, too, allegedly, is gay, and has agreed to enter into a lavender marriage with Karlie to protect them all from the homophobic Trump administration. On July 27th, a few days after Karlie's engagement announcement, Taylor performs the song Curious on tour with a special guest, Hayley Kiyoko. Hayley is a lesbian who sings, and her song Curious is about a queer woman choosing to only date men to hide the fact that she also likes women, aka secret gay espionage. But all is not lost with Kaylor. A month later, on August 25th, 2018, Karlie and her sisters attend the Nashville Reputation show. They start off in one place and then are moved closer to the stage right before Taylor sings the queer anthem, Dress. Either Karlie and Taylor are clueless, or they have started tapping into the Gaylor mainstream, because that is a crazy coincidence. Karlie later posts a photo of her and Taylor, and they look as close as ever. Little do they know, it's the last time they'll ever be seen together. I like how I'm skipping all of the Joe lore. Who cares? They're still together at this point, but they're extremely private. He hates fame. His love is a wish he's hoping dying praying to keep. Who cares? Ladies and gentlemen, the end. In an intimate ceremony, Karlie and Josh tie the knot. She is now known as Karlie Kloss. She decides to just keep her last name. She spoke candidly about joining the Kushner family in Vogue's October issue. Her and Josh are liberals, she claims, and they'll be liberals forever. She has never once voted for Trump, and neither has Josh. She also talks about Taylor in a Vogue 70 Million Questions interview, where she states that they are still friends.
Well, Jennifer Lawrence was interested. Jen, don't worry. Taylor and I are still really good friends.
Aww. Except, no one brought that. Taylor didn't go to Karlie's wedding, and her absence was initially explained away as work-related. I mean, she did post about landing in Perth, Australia to perform the same day as the wedding, but that's the thing. Karlie had a second wedding in the spring of 2019. And Taylor didn't go to that one either. She also never publicly acknowledged Karlie's engagement or said marriage. Instead, on October 21st, a few days post-wedding, Taylor begins promo for her 7th studio album, Lover. And believe it or not, it's about to get real fucking gay around here. 2019 is a lot more abstract for Gaylors. Karlie is still considered a pretty big muse, but it's hard to ignore the total radio silence from Kaylor. More Gaylors have started analyzing Taylor's sexuality through a muse-free lens. Why is there a helicopter above my house right now? Meaning they look for possible queer undertones in her music and lifestyle, but they don't try to figure out who she's dating exactly, at least not in their analysis. The story of her sexuality is finally her own, as much as it can be when people are writing essays about it on Reddit. Taylor's Lover album was promoted in an interesting way. Thematically, it's more of an upbeat sister album to Reputation. It's about romance, it's about identity and acceptance, even in the face of chaos. It also very shallowly dips its toes into politics. Miss Americana and the Heart-Baked Prince, for instance, is a retelling of the 2016 presidential race. Stylistically, it's cloaked in the language of a high school football game. The lyrics, "She's a bad, bad girl," mirror the way that Trump referred to Hillary Clinton as a nasty woman. "Boys will be boys then" references Trump's so-called locker room talk, which despite its violent misogyny was swept under the rug by voters. And lyrics like "We're so sad we paint the town blue," "voted most likely to run away with you," are very, very obvious, let's say. With all of these themes in mind, Taylor decided to jump headfirst into the promotion by marketing the album alongside, drumroll please, gay pride. You have got to applaud the Gaylors. They have weathered the storm and now they are finally being fed. Almost immediately into the album cycle, Taylor's socials became inundated with rainbows and glitter. Her dark Tumblr wardrobe was quickly replaced with pastels and opal rings. Side note, opal is the birthstone of October, which is the same exact month Karlie married Josh. Taylor even performed some songs from Reputation in a brand new light. On February 13th, 2019, she performed an intimate rendition of King of My Heart for a gay engaged couple. This was big for Gaylors. King of My Heart has been claimed in the fandom as a secret gay espionage song forever. They assume it's either about Karlie or about Lily Donaldson. Performing it at a gay engagement party sealed the deal for them. On April 8th, Taylor donated her lucky number, $113,000, to the Tennessee Equality Project. About a week later, she posted a picture of herself wearing a rainbow ring on her right ring finger. Gaylors have pointed out that it's in the gay code of conduct to wear your rings on your right hand instead of your left one to denote gay marriage. Meanwhile, in straight culture, they wear their rings on their right hand to denote that they're not married. Among late-stage Gaylors, this is evidence, though, that Taylor and Karlie were now secretly betrothed. I say that weird. I feel like I'm slurring. Sorry. On April 23rd, something much more undeniable happens. Taylor is performing New Year's Day off of Reputation at the Time 100 Gala. The lyrics originally go, "I want your midnights." Taylor, however, sings, a little later in the song, she says it again, clearer this time. Yeah, I don't really have an alternative explanation for this. It's just gay. It's just gay. And I'm okay with that. And so is Vulture. That same day, the publication releases an article about Taylor. The goal of the article is to break down the various clues that she's been dropping about her upcoming Lover album. Swift is like a mad pop star scientist. Everything is a cipher. And all of these images are connected somehow. One of those theories is about Karlie Kloss. They argue that Reputation was Taylor's liberation album, the one that finally stripped her of her stifling sweetheart image. Therefore, the Lover album would naturally be about her living in her truth. According to Taylor's sudden new aesthetic, that truth has something to do with rainbows, sequins, and gay pride. Doesn't help that she's gallivanting around on stage saying, "I want her midnights." Mind you, in a song that's supposed to be about her boyfriend at the time, Joe Alwyn. Vulture goes on to argue that by ushering in this new era, by reintroducing the past era in a new queer-adjacent way, Taylor is signaling a major coming out. And maybe, that means Kaylor was real all along. She wants us to solve the Kaylor puzzle, you guys. The queer flagging is so intense. that other publications start to pick it up. On April 25th, out of nowhere, Nylon magazine drops major Kaylor lore right on the timeline. They also point out that Taylor's expected single, dropping 24 hours after the article went live, would fall on Lesbian Visibility Day. I'm so glad lesbians are visible. Yay me.
This sounds exactly like the kind of dramatic plan Swift would connect if she were ever to plan a public coming out.
Are you noticing a pattern here? When you self-proclaim that you're a mastermind who has hidden Easter eggs in every facet of your work, people start looking for fire even when there's no smoke. But I have to admit, dropping your album's first single on Lesbian Visibility Day, when your album rollout has been so distinctly pride-related, is a choice. Especially when you choose to promote that single on Lesbian Visibility Day by tweeting, "Me out now." Like, girl. And then you put Brendan Urie on the track. Pansexual icon kinky boots wearing Brendan Urie on Lesbian Visibility Day. What are you? BuzzFeed releases an article about the entire debacle, revealing that they thought that she was lesing out this time too.
It's almost as if she wanted to encourage the lesbian rumor mill.
Wow, we're making progress. Despite Taylor otherwise coming off as being, in fact, 100% straight, word to Louis Tomlinson, the author argues that there was still a crumb of intrigue about the buildup.
Lesbian gossip, like all celebrity gossip, isn't really about the celebrities. It's about us, about what we value in ourselves and in one another. It's about what we want in our partners and friends and communities. Do we have a responsibility to come out? What makes a good queer, a progressive queer, a hot queer, a likable queer? What kind of language do we use to define who we are? How important is our sexual orientation to the way we structure our lives? Why do we put some queer people on a pedestal and not others? What do we want a queer-friendly world to look like? And what is gay life, after all, if not an endless hunt for other gay people?
May 9th. 2019. Taylor graces the cover of Entertainment Weekly. Her jean jacket, a classic bisexual staple by the way, includes a bunch of pins. There's Friends, Grey's Anatomy, Troye Sivan, Drake, Game of Thrones, The Dixie Chicks, and is that a gay pride pin? Interesting. Tumblr blew up with these pictures, and Taylor liked a bunch of posts about it, specifically this one, where a user gushes about how validated the gay community feels by Taylor's recent pride references. Later that same month, Apple Music releases a curated playlist made by Taylor, which she describes as being the soundtrack of my story at the moment. Notably, there is a few gay songs, including by the lesbian icon King Princess. The promotional material for the playlist also depicts Taylor's Bitmoji, which is wearing a rainbow heart on its sweater. May 31st, the day before Sacred Pride, Taylor posts on Instagram wishing everyone a happy Pride Month. She includes a letter written directly to her local senator about the Equality Act. Gaylors argue that the language she uses in the letter makes it sound like she is a part of the gay community. Like, let's show our pride. We have much to celebrate, etc. I mean, I do think allies just talk like this, like the woke white Pinterest girlies. Even the corporations who are inherently sexualityless,
that's a big word for Elmo,
use inclusive we language. And billion-dollar exploitative corporations are not queer. Throw rocks at the closest big box brand near you. Speaking of, as Pride Month rolls in on June 14, 2019, Taylor performs at the literal Stonewall Inn. The Stonewall Inn. When people say that the first Pride was a riot, they're talking about her, okay? You don't need me to tell you that 1969 was a very obviously political time. The civil rights era was raging. MLK Jr. had just been assassinated the year prior. People were protesting the Vietnam War, and queer people were fighting for their own liberation. In New York, The NYPD did frequent raids on suspected gay and lesbian bars. A lot of bars refused to sell alcohol to the LGBTs at the time on the basis of indecency laws. And the ones that did sell to queer people sometimes didn't have liquor licenses, so they were serving drinks illegally. They were also owned in some cases by the mafia, who would work out deals with the local police so that they could get a heads up before a raid happened. The Stonewall Inn was a refuge for queer people, in spite of its noted flaws. When your safety and community is threatened, as it was for Stonewall attendees on the morning of June 28th, 1969, and as it was constantly for queer people during that time, you were going to fight back. There's no way to sugarcoat it. On that morning, the NYPD showed up to Stonewall unannounced, and they began brutalizing patrons.
At one point, an officer hit a woman over the head as he forced her into the police van. She shouted to onlookers to act, inciting the crowd to begin throwing pennies, bottles, cobblestones, and other objects at the police. The protests, sometimes involving thousands of people, continued in the area for 5 more days.
Stop being mad at other queer people because their queerness doesn't fit into your narrow binary criteria for queerness and start throwing cobblestones at state actors. Hypothetically speaking, of course, I hate violence. I don't condone it at all. Even the thought of being mean to a poor, defenseless little police officer makes me want to vomit, of course. June 17, 2019, Taylor releases the music video for her second single, You Need to Calm Down. Everyone in the video is queer. The song features such lyrics as, you need to just stop, like, can you just not step on my gown? Why are you mad when you could be glad? As in GLAAD, GLAD, the queer rights organization. Shade never made anybody less gay. And can you just not step on his gown? I will say that Taylor's wig in this video is reminiscent of the bisexual flag. I've seen some people, including Hetlers, argue that it isn't the bi flag because it has teal at the top, but come on. Those are very interesting color choices for your so-called gay anthem song. In fact, she keeps using this exact color palette in between all of the rainbows throughout her Lover promotion. Around this time, Gaylors began floating a theory that Taylor was going to show up at the World Pride March in New York City. Not only would this cap off her month-long Pride shenanigans in her favorite city, but it would also give her a massive stage to finally come out as queer. To make sense of this theory, I have got to get into the Christian Siriano of it all. Okay, Christian Siriano was the youngest person to win Project Runway in 2007. Since then, he has gone on to build a fashion empire, working with such faces as Lady Gaga, Les Dea, Janelle Monáe, Bicon, Lily Reinhart, Beyonce and Blue Ivy, Michelle Obama somehow, and even then Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. In 2018, it was announced that Christian would step in as a mentor on Project Runway after the exit of Tim Gunn. His co-star would be none other than Karlie Kloss. Interestingly. Christian has also worked with Taylor Swift in the past, so that's a funny connection. In April of 2019, he was cornered by an E! News journalist who asked him if he was making anything special for Taylor's Lover promo. Christian plays it cool, but he eventually reveals that, he's doing something for her, but he can't say what it is. The reporter shows him a printed out picture of a dress on Taylor's Instagram, because she's committed as fuck, asking him if it's his. And he's like, no, I don't think so. I did make this beautiful ombre dress, but I don't think that's it in the picture. Now, we don't know if the ombre dress is the secret project he's been working on, or if it's something else entirely, but whatever it is, he says that it's in a different capacity from what he's made for her before. That means it can't be for a music video, it's not for a perfume ad, and he confirms that it's not a Met dress. For all he knows, he says, she could wear it out to the grocery store. Under the journalist's video, people speculate that Christian could have designed Taylor's dress for the upcoming Time 100 gala, which was happening that April. But as it turns out, she wore a custom J. Mendel piece to that. So, what's the secret Siriano project? June 7th, 2019, Christian posts a rather campy rainbow dress on Instagram, stating that he's proud to be a gay designer and that he can't wait for this gown to come to life. Who will wear it? He adds 7 rainbow emojis and a pride hashtag. Immediately, someone on the Taylor Swift Reddit raises the alarm.
Anyone think this dress could be for Taylor? And possibly what for?
They cite Christian's super secret project that he mentioned earlier that year in April, as well as the fact that he included 7 rainbow emojis. Lover was Taylor's 7th album, and her entire aesthetic for it, mind you, was pastels, rainbows, and pride. Add in the fact that everyone, from Swifties to the general public, even major publications, are convinced that Taylor is an Easter egg mastermind. And it's settled. Gaylors are positive that this is Taylor's coming out dress.
The dress is 100% hers. It's very likely that she'll wear it to Pride.
They zeroed in on Sunday, June 30th as her expected coming out day. That's because Todrick Hall, her gay friend, was slated to perform at a DC Pride event on that exact day. Way to steal the show, Taylor. But 2 things happened in quick, miserable succession. On June 30th, news dropped that Scooter Braun would be acquiring Big Machine Records, the very same label and the very same Scott that Taylor was waxing poetic about in the early days of her career. Like, oh, he's so thoughtful and understanding and genuine about my artistic vision. Man, he'll never betray me. Turns out, nuh-uh. Scooter's purchase of Big Machine Records meant that he would own all of the masters to Taylor Swift's discography, her past work. Taylor took to Tumblr soon after the announcement and accused Scooter and his label clients, such as Justin Bieber, of bullying her during Snakegate. She alleged that Scooter purchased the label from Scott in order to control her, and that Scott, knowing how she previously felt about Scooter, had betrayed her trust. Taylor would ultimately not show up to the DC Pride event that day, and Gaylor speculate that it's because of Scooter. Coming out was now inconceivable, they argue, because now her worst enemy owns the right to her past music. Being openly queer would put a bigger target on her back. The second thing that happened on June 30th is Christian Siriano's dress made it out of the mannequin one way or another. It wasn't worn by Taylor Swift, but instead by queer icon Billy Porter. He wore it for a sponsored Instagram post and as a news host covering the Pride event. Was Billy given this dress last minute after Taylor was forced to nix her coming out ceremony? That's what Gaylors believe. Again, I have a few problems with this theory. Taylor makes it clear in the post that she posted on Tumblr that she learned about her masters at the same time as everyone else, meaning she or someone on her team read about it in the headlines on June 30th. Now, the earliest post about her masters was made at 7 in the morning by Wall Street Journal. For shits and giggles, let's say that this is when Taylor finds out. 4 hours later, at 11 a.m., Billy Porter posts himself on his main Instagram feed, and he's wearing the Christian Siriano rainbow dress. He says in the caption that it's custom, meaning it was made especially for him. Billy and Christian have worked together in the past on viral binary bending pieces. The pictures are high quality, taken on a professional camera and posted as an ad for a product. The Gaylor theory implies that in the span of 4 hours, Taylor Swift was informed about her masters being sold, had enough time to react to that, and come to the decision that she could no longer come out. She called Christian Siriano and explained the situation to him. He gets off the phone with her and starts looking for someone else to wear the iconic dress. For whatever reason, he lands on Billy Porter, calls Billy Porter to see if he can wear it, not even counting the fact that Billy was already scheduled to host a Pride segment on air, meaning that he had to already have an outfit picked out. And if he was supposed to wear a different designer, wouldn't it be a little in bad taste to just totally ghost that designer and wear someone else? Billy would then have to travel to Christian Siriano, see if the dress even fits his body because it was apparently made for Taylor Swift, do his hair and makeup, coordinate shoes and jewelry, take high quality images on a professional camera, transfer those images in some capacity to a computer or a phone, send in those photos for an ad, which in my experience usually requires pruning and approval by the brand beforehand, and then post it by 11 a.m. The timeline gets even more convoluted if you argue that Taylor learned about the sale via the Billboard article. That one was posted at 1:59 p.m. 17 minutes before that article, Christian Siriano posted photos of Billy Porter boots on the ground at Pride wearing the dress. Either Gaylors believe that Christian, Billy, and their assistants move at the speed of gay impossible light, or they think that Taylor Swift is a liar. Because the only other way this timeline makes sense is if Taylor learned about the sale of her masters way before the morning of June 30th, like she said in her Tumblr post. And I mean, I guess they do think she lies. That's their whole theory. But it gets meshier. Get it? It's messy, but it's meshier. The Christian Siriano dress has a mesh base underneath the rainbow tulle, and it doesn't match Billy's skin tone. Gaylors argue that this is undeniable proof that the dress was obviously made for a white person, but was just pawned off on the first black guy Christian saw that day. Where do I even start? Let me say that I don't know if the mesh is intended to be nude. Maybe it's supposed to be that color, but let's say it is a nude mesh. Nude is a category that has never been inclusive of darker skin tones. From the runway to bridal to ballet to makeup, nude has always been standardized as a lighter, whiter color. People with darker skin tones have been forced, past and present, to dye or spray nude mesh to better match their skin. Yes, even when they order custom pieces.
People of color have been forced to conform or put in extra money and time to ensure that their tights or dance shoes match their skin tone. It's extremely common for dancers to, quote-unquote, pancake their shoes, coating them in foundation so that they match their skin color. There is a clear demand for these particular types of fabric, but they are not being manufactured or supplied in sufficient quantities to meet demand.
Brands were still pushing pink and beige as standard nude colors this decade alone. By the way, I'm not saying that Christian Siriano purposely used a white-centered mesh for his custom Billy Porter dress, but to unequivocally say that the dress was designed for a white person just because of the unmatching nude base is extremely ignorant to the hurdles that Black people face in these industries. Not that I would expect a Swiftie to get that. Not everything is a conspiracy. Sometimes it's as simple and as challengeable as colorism and white supremacy, but again, I wouldn't expect a Swiftie to get that. But that being said, everything that happened after June 30th with this dress, girl, I kind of give it to the Gaylors, okay? Because someone is playing in their faces. On June 21st, 2020, a year after Taylor's failed coming out, Christian posted an edit of her wearing the iconic, or maybe infamous, dress on his Instagram page. In the caption, he wishes everyone a happy Pride Month and says how much he loves seeing Taylor in this dress. Plot twist. 2 years later, almost to the day, a Gaylor posts a TikTok video explaining the lore behind the dress, as well as the theories that continue to fuel it. For some reason, Christian stitched this video, showing himself coming into frame right as the Gaylor starts talking about the mismatched mesh. Christian sips his tea and then walks off screen. That's it. But it was everything to the community. One account on Tumblr argues that this video seemingly confirms the long-held fan theory. My thing is, if all of this is true and he just confirmed it, wouldn't he be forcibly outing Taylor Swift? The theory is that she didn't wear this dress because she didn't want to come out anymore. And she didn't want to come out anymore because it was dangerous to do so. So does Christian Siriano hate Taylor Swift? Does he want her dead? Or are Gaylors a little bit selfish in celebrating this? Like the true detective I am, I reached out to Siriano for comment. which I know is ridiculous. I got lucky with my Larry video, and my connection for that ended up responding to me and having like a little email chat with me about it. So I got a big head for this one. Okay, head big as fuck, big as this room, but I had no such luck this time around. What is it that journalists say? We reached out to Siriano's camp for comment, but have not heard back. Anyways, let's get back on track. So Taylor learns about her masters being sold on June 30th, 2019, and a few days later, on July 3rd, Perez Hilton drops a bombshell on Maine. You have to take it with a grain of salt because, you know, Perez Hilton is not a reputable source in the slightest. He alleges that Karlie and Taylor had a falling out because of Scooter. At the time, Scooter was Karlie's manager, and they had a close relationship. He attended her weddings and referred to her as family on a social media post about her birthday. According to Perez, Karlie would feed Scooter information about Taylor, and Taylor apparently found out, which ended their friendship. Apparently, two of Taylor's longtime friends, including Claire, that I mentioned earlier, liked tweets mentioning Perez's video. And in 2020, Taylor seemed to have confirmed this rumor herself. On the album, Evermore, she sings,
"When the words of a sister come back in whispers that prove she was not, in fact, what she seemed, not a twin from your dreams. She was a crook who was caught."
Kaylor has never been so over. Taylor continues to promote the upcoming Lover album despite the chaos. On August 5th, she posted a photo of her arm covered in bracelets. Now, some of these bracelets include album titles and cat names, but one bracelet says Proud, and it's weaved through with beads representing the bi flag. Wait, before you start. Fans from the Lover Secret Sessions state that they gave Taylor these friendship bracelets, and she posted them on Instagram just to show them off. But the bracelets with the rest of the promo, including the bi wig, girl, yeah, I kinda see the vision. The very next day, August 6th, Scooter Braun posts photos of him and his friends on a yacht. Karlie Kloss is in it smiling with all 28 to 32 of her teeth. He also posts in honor of her birthday, like I mentioned earlier. On August 23rd, Taylor releases the Lover album. Gaylor's claim that Cruel Summer, Death by a Thousand Cuts, False God, Daylight, and It's Nice to Have a Friend are all referencing secret gay espionage. On August 24th, a 78th plane hits the tower of Gaylor. The Guardian releases an interview with Taylor where she describes the motive behind her Lover rollout. Trump's election as the 45th president of the United States woke up a lot of white people for the first time, including Taylor Swift.
I was living in this Obama 8-year paradise of you go, you cast your vote, the person you vote for wins, everyone's happy. This whole thing, the last 3-4 years, it completely blindsided a lot of us, me included.
All right. And then one day, her friend Todrick Hall approached her with a question. What would you do if you had a gay son? Gay son or thought daughter? Fuck it, I would want twins. Gay son and thought daughter. Taylor thought it was obvious. Thought daughter does. She would love the gay son, but Todrick pointed out that her stance on gay rights wasn't clear to the public. And so Lover's promo was a course correction. Maybe an overcorrection looking back, but a correction nonetheless. She expressed similar sentiments in a September Vogue article.
Rights are being stripped away from basically everyone who isn't a straight white cisgender male. I didn't realize until recently that I could advocate for a community that I'm not a part of. It's hard to know how to do that without being so fearful of making a mistake that you just freeze, because my mistakes are very loud. When I make a mistake, it echoes through the canyons of the world. It's clickbait, and it's a part of my life story, and it's a part of my career arc.
Some people would read this and come to the conclusion that she's saying she's straight, aka advocating for a group that she is not a part of. But Gaylor's read it as a bait and switch.
I take it to mean that she's not out, so she doesn't feel part of the community. It's really overblown quote that Hitlers are determined to interpret as she said she's straight, when to me it's very obvious that she did not say straight. Our lyrical queen knows words, and how to say things clearly if she wants to. There's definitely a reason the question was answered in such an ambiguous way. Another Gaylor writes, "To believe that Taylor is gay, you just have to make peace with the fact that she lies and lies a lot. This is what people in the closet are supposed to do, unfortunately."
On November 14th, Taylor alleges that Scooter and Scott are banning her from performing her old music.
The message being sent to me is very clear. Basically, be a good little girl and shut up, or you'll be punished. Please let Scott and Scooter know how you feel about this. Scooter also manages several artists who I really believe care about other artists and their work. Please ask them for help with this.
Call to action for Miss Karlie. Oh. Karlie hung up. She did post some pictures on Instagram while Taylor's post was going viral on Twitter. She said, "You gotta see this face card. It's more important. I'm sorry." I've also seen some rumors that Karlie liked a hate tweet against Taylor, which was posted by some far-right conservative loser, but the tweet no longer exists, and I can't confirm that happened. Either way, I fear it's not looking good for Kaylor. 2020. Shit. It's not looking good for any of us. Gaylor, Swifties, the world. There is one crumb in the January Miss Americana documentary, though. Taylor and Brendan Urie are recording Me, and Miss Taylor is telling him her vision for the music video. There would be all these things that represent him, such as theater and pansexual emo-ness, or whatever. And then there would be all these things that represent her. Unicorns, sparkles, gay pride?
Gay pride, people in country western boots, just everything that makes me me.
I'm queer and I haven't even said that sentence out loud before. There's no heterosexual explanation for that. Maybe they edited the soundbite in a strange order, or maybe her brain was all over the place, or maybe the virus of capitalism is eating at her amygdala and making her say whatever's profitable. Or maybe gay pride really does make her her. Karlie also rekindles the gay flame. In February, she hosted a Galentine's event for friends and small businesses. And at this event, she received this artwork. The woman in the drawing is wearing a dress inspired by this sequin robe, which comes standard with a white belt. Now, during the Lover promo, Taylor wore this exact dress, except she had a custom blue belt. And this wasn't just any press outfit either. This is where she announced the song Me of Out Now Lesbian Visibility Day fame. Gaylor swore she was coming out that day right there on live television at the damn NFL draft of all places. So this dress means something. Gaylor quickly took to the artist's DM asking if the drawing was inspired or based off of Taylor's dress. And the artist replied, yes. Taking a scroll through the artist's Instagram, you can see that she posted similar artwork on July 19th, that time with the standard white belt. When asked in the comments if this version was inspired by Taylor, she said no. But then again, she also hearted a different comment that was speculating about if it was based on Taylor's rainbow dress. So girl, I don't know. I don't know anymore. At this point, I don't know. In the summer of 2020, Taylor surprise dropped her best work, Folklore. During COVID lockdown, she, like everyone else, was stuck in her house. To cope, she began imagining detailed storylines and long forgotten yet fiercely enduring love. Maybe the mailers are onto something. She began crafting the narrative of three people: Betty, James, and an unnamed third person, the Entity, who were involved as teenagers in a love triangle. Immediately upon release, the song Betty was thought to be a queer anthem. It's sung from James's point of view, but we didn't know that at the time. There's no pronouns or gender references for the song's speaker. So to Gaylors and bystanders alike, it sounds like Taylor singing about loving and then betraying another woman, romantically. However, When Taylor talks about the song live, right before she always plays it, she prefaces it by saying that it's sung from the point of view of a teenage boy. But that can't stop the Gaylors. Even this has become an inside joke among them to kind of make sense of their dissonance. They argue that Taylor is hiding her sexuality by singing about beautiful women from the viewpoint of a boy to make it less obvious. Also, in the world of Kaylor, Karlie's middle name is Elizabeth. A common nickname for that is Betty. Taylor has said in the past that she was named after James Taylor. Betty, James. Gaylors also point to the Betty and James folklore merch, which features their name carved into a tree. The strokes of the letters make it seem like a hidden K is in the name Betty and a hidden T is in the name James. That's the Gaylor theory. I'll give it to him because I can kind of see it, unfortunately. It's just the way that you get it. Taylor has gone on record, though, to say that she chose the names Betty, James, and Inez, which is another character inside the folklore universe, because those are the names of her friend Blake Lively's children, and she's also the godmother to those children. There's also the matter of the album photo shoot. Taylor has said in interviews that she took these pictures on a friend's estate. Better detectives than me have argued that she's talking about Blake Lively's Bedford, New York home. Now, I did some digging. Blake and her husband Ryan purchased a home in Bedford 6 months into dating, which is really, really weird to me personally. But I digress. That happened way back in 2012. Kaylors have pointed out that Karlie's 2018 wedding also happened in Bedford, New York. So that must mean folklore is about Karlie, except Blake and Ryan sold their home in Bedford in 2013. They ended up moving a few miles away to Pound Ridge, New York. Crazy name, but upon finding this out, Kaylors are like, well, Pound Ridge is only 7 minutes away from Bedford. The goalpost is shifting. That's my favorite. Again, better detectives than me have narrowed down the location of the folklore art even further. And it's not at Blake and Ryan's Pound Ridge home either. They were taken in Lewisboro, New York, at this historic estate. Elements of the home's listing match elements found in Taylor's album shots. I did some backtracing and found out that this estate also belongs to Blake and Ryan. It was reported earlier this year that the two are embroiled in contractor disputes after allegedly not paying their workers. The article notes that in 2018, they bought multiple properties in the town of Lewisboro. Property records show that they bought 6 adjacent parcels of land, totaling 110 acres, through the same LLC, the largest of which was purchased for $12 million. Now, if you go to Zillow and look up the address of the estate I mentioned earlier, it says that it's in Lewisboro and that it was bought in 2018 for $12 million. From there, I tried to find an exact commute between Karlie's wedding venue and this property, but it's hard. They have yet to reveal the exact location of their October wedding. We just know it was somewhere in Bedford, New York. Snooping on data websites, it says that Josh Kushner lived at a specific address in Bedford, which Gaylors use as the official wedding venue address. But again, there's really no credible source to back this up. For starters, we don't know if this is the Josh Kushner. And secondly, it's not in his listed personal real estate portfolio. It's not in Karlie's either. It could be owned by someone else in their family, but I have yet to find proof. Funnily enough, though, Donald Trump owns an estate in Bedford, New York. And it's described as a family compound where they gather for special events and holidays. I think I read that they're trying to sell it, but the articles were all very vague. So let's go with the unconfirmed Kushner home in Bedford. That's about a 17-minute drive from Blake's Lewisboro property. No, it's not 5.4 miles apart like Kaylors are claiming on Twitter. And no, it's not the same exact woods as the ones in folklore. It's 2 different properties in 2 different towns with a ton of land in between. Case close. In October 2020, Karlie announced her first pregnancy. Sorry. It didn't go over well for late-stage Kaylors. This wine got me choking. They entered the kind of psychosis that Larry Shippers entered when Louis Tomlinson had his first kid. One user on Tumblr began insinuating that Taylor and Karlie were having the child together, secretly, of course, and using Josh as a beard. Huh? What? The evidence? One Kaylor argued that on May 5th, 2020, Karlie posted about using a turkey baster to apply a face mask, which is obviously code for artificial insemination. May 14th, Taylor Swift posted a picture of some cinnamon rolls she baked. And she captioned it, "When you're proud of your buns, so you post them on the internet." Fuck, I'm running out. Millennial cringe be damned. This is clear evidence that Taylor is hinting towards having a bun in Karlie's oven. Keep up. In the Miss Americana documentary, Taylor refers to a random baby as a Tamagotchi. 6 whole entire months later, Karlie posts a kid photo of herself captioned, "Dang, I forgot to feed my Tamagotchi." Spotify released a special rap video for their 2020 campaign, which included references to Taylor. The video shows a calendar open to December with a sticky note reading, "It still feels like March." The Kaylor who posted this as evidence argues that it's a clue about Kaylor because Karlie's baby was born in March. Or maybe, do you think they're referencing the worldwide fucking pandemic that shut everything down in March of 2020 and trying to appeal to the average person who views March as the stoppage of time? I mean, why on earth would Spotify Incorporated give you, a random internet person, clues about Taylor Swift's secret gay relationship and secretive gay baby? What if the world was made of pudding? I'm sorry for losing my cool. We're in the home stretch now, and I am on a cocktail of pills. And my second bottle of wine. Let's talk about Zoe Kravitz and the 2022 album Midnights. You might have noticed that all of Taylor's suspected muses look a lot like her, regardless of gender. But much like her ex Harry Styles, Gaylors argue that Taylor has gone the way of the light skin.
Okay, just hear me out. Harry Styles seems to want to come out of the closet. Is Taylor's assumed girlfriend, Zoe Kravitz, bearding Harry Styles? Is it part of a deal between Swift Inc. and Styles Inc. to stop Harry from officially coming out?
Taylor and Zoe have been hanging out since the mid-2010s, but Gaylor suspect that they started dating sometime in 2020, after Zoe underwent a divorce. In December of that year, WWD revealed that Zoe and Taylor quarantined together during the early stages of the pandemic. Taylor even helped Zoe take photos for New York Times Magazine, their Great Performers edition, I think it was. Zoe received the accolade for her work on the television series High Infidelity. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. On June 21st, 2020, Zoe and her band Lola Wolf released the song Not Dianna. The lyrics show the speaker's frustration with a partner who keeps comparing them to a past lover.
I mean, who the fuck do you think I really am? When you talk to me like I'm your friend Dianna, I'm not Dianna. What the fuck?
That's interesting. Gaylors argue that this song is Zoe Kravitz's way of airing out her frustrations with her new lover Taylor, because her new lover Taylor is still hung up on Dianna Agron, a woman she has not seen since 2012. 2014 if you count the awkward award show greeting. Anyway, to ring in the 2021 new year, both Zoe and Taylor post photos on Instagram, which shares similar captions. Fast forward to March 22, the best movie in the history of cinema gets released. The Batman, co-starring Zoe Kravitz. I literally did not get out of bed the next day after watching this movie because I was just too turned on. Taylor Swift seems to agree because she posted about it on her Instagram, writing that Zoe is the Catwoman of dreams. Later that month, Zoe and Taylor go to the pre-Oscars party together and are filmed dancing together in a very stiff way. On August 29th, Taylor attends the VMAs and announces her new album Midnights will be released in October. But Gaylors immediately claimed that the album would be Taylor's finally finally her coming out album, the one they have been waiting for. Partly because the title is a callback to the infamous I Want Her Midnights, but it's also because the premise of the album is 13 songs for 13 sleepless nights of agony and despair. Gaylors took one look at that and were like, why would Taylor Swift, a rich, white, pretty woman, ever have a bad night? Unless she was involved in secret gay espionage. A few days later, their suspicions were put on steroids when Rolling Stone, a publication known to work with Taylor's team, published an article mentioning Gaylor. In late September, Taylor started a video series to promote the album, titled Midnight Mayhem with Me, exclamation point, out now. And this is where it just all goes wrong. Again. In every video of this series, she would spin this contraption and release a ball. Based on the number of said balls, she would then reveal a corresponding track title. When the titles were first revealed, Taylor's instantly laid claim to the song Lavender Haze. Lavender is a classic queer color and flower with a rich history behind it. And in retrospect, Zoe Kravitz is credited on that song. She's also credited on the 3 a.m. edition songs Glitch, which talks about a sudden and unexpected love affair. And of course, there's a track on Midnights titled High Infidelity, which her show, but the song also talks about cheating on your partner. In early October, Taylor began posting clips that explained the lore behind each of the songs. When it got to Lavender Haze, she immediately brought up her boyfriend of 6 years, Joe Alwyn, and claimed that the track is inspired by her relationship with him.
If the world finds out that you're in love with somebody, they're gonna weigh in on it. Like my relationship for 6 years, we've had to dodge weird rumors, tabloid stuff, and we just ignore it. And so this song is sort of about the act of ignoring that stuff to protect the real stuff.
People assumed that she was talking about the Gaylors when she said dodging weird rumors. And the Gaylors, of course, did not take that very well, girl. And neither did the homophobic people in Taylor's audience, who don't really need a reason to hate on queer people, but when it's handed to them on a silver platter, who are they to say no? This unleashed a brand new wave of hate for the Gaylors, but I would say that weird rumors can be a reference to anything. Like I said earlier, Joe widows were spreading rumors that him and Taylor were secretly engaged. It was even featured in Deuxmoi, which Tree, the publicist, personally responded to. On the other side of the coin, people argued that Taylor and Joe were broken up because they weren't married yet. And this theory is actually mentioned verbatim in the lyrics of the song. So it was probably more about that than anything, girl. And yet it somehow became more about the Gaylors. A moment that has since been termed Lavendergate in the fandom. This was one of the last straws for them. Not the last straw, of course, but one of. Like, one of the last 200.
If Taylor wanted to shut these theories down, she has had ample opportunity to do so. Instead, she's chosen to lean into the speculation and leave us little hints and not correct anyone when they use them to fuel Gaylor theories. In a cruel twist of fate, my doorbell just rang. Package had arrived and my heart sank to my stomach because I knew exactly what it was. My hands were shaking as I opened it, and there it was. Taylor's frickin' face from the Lavender Haze t-shirt staring directly into my soul after she just broke my heart. Again, I think the saddest part is I plan to use it as a sleep shirt and save it for the moment when at some point in the future Taylor would be ready to come out of her haze and tell the world that she's queer, and then I would be able to wear my well-worn Lavender Haze t-shirt proudly in public and say, I was one of the people who understood the whole time. I saw her and I supported her even when she was in the closet.
Post-Midnight Eras hasn't fared much better for Gaylors. On January 4th, 2023, the New York Times posted an uncharacteristically detailed analysis of Taylor's suspected sexuality. Titled, "Look What We Made Taylor Swift Do," the opinion piece dissects the broader Gaylor theory, ultimately arguing that, we, as a people, have a God-given right to speculate about Taylor Swift's sexuality, whether she's closeted or not. The article begins by covertly comparing Taylor to the artist Shelley Wright, a country music singer who attempted to take her own life in 2006. She did so because she was struggling to hide her own sexuality. Shelley came out in 2010 and noted that the industry as a whole, but especially country music,
was characterized by culturally enforced closeting, where queer stars would be seen as unworthy of investment unless they lied about their lives.
Taylor Swift, of course, debuted as a country artist in 2006, the same year of Shelley's attempted suicide. By 2010, when Shelley came out, Taylor was a massive star. So Gaylors, and the New York Times author, argue that Taylor was forcibly closeted by a hostile industry, the same industry that reportedly gave Taylor incentive to stay silent on politics. This isn't the first time that Shelley and Taylor were referenced in the same space. Shelley's actually kind of beloved by Gaylors. She has a history of supporting and defending Taylor. One Gaylor even speculated that Shelley would be instrumental in Taylor's coming out. Shelley once argued that the music industry is like a blender. It spits people out, and people do not survive. Recall, if you will, Taylor's 2019 Pride video, "You Need to Calm Down." In it, she fucks up a blender and then burns the house down around it. Gaylors argued that this video references Shelley's speech. Also, when the video premiered, Shelley was on CNN, boots to the ground, to talk about it. She said that Taylor's inclusivity is life-saving for queer people. She also says that straight allies, and I assume she's referencing Taylor because she, makes a gesture towards her, needs to continue standing up for gay rights.
Shelley is very careful in her words to not directly say Taylor is coming out because Taylor was supposed to do that herself, right? Shelley Wright was already sitting in the CNN studio ready to talk about it the moment it premiered. All of this was arranged ahead of time. Taylor had already coordinated with Shelley to help fans make the connection to her blender speech, and no one understood it at the time.
In the same speech as the blender metaphor, Shelley states that queer artists will continue to be closeted and forced into a heteronormative box, quote, until someone who has something to lose stands up and just says, "I'm gay." Somebody big. The author of the New York Times article argues that Taylor Swift is that big artist. She's the hero we've been looking for.
What if someone had already tried, but our homophobic culture had yet to come to terms with it and wasn't ready for her? Since at least her Lover era, Miss Swift has explicitly encouraged her fans to read into the coded messages, which she calls Easter eggs, that she leaves in music videos, social media posts, and interviews with traditional media outlets. But the majority of those fans largely ignore or discount the dropped hairpins that might hint at queer identity. For them, acknowledging even the possibility that Miss Swift could be queer would irrevocably alter the way they connect with her celebrity, the true product they are consuming.
So the reference to dropped hairpins is important to Gaylorism. In a 2023 entry, Urban Dictionary defines dropping hairpins as
to give hints that one is gay, usually in the act of determining whether or not a person is safe to come out to. Also to see if an object of desire is also gay. Help, I'm still at the restaurant. I swear you could hear a hairpin drop.
The song is about feeling stunted after a breakup, not being able to move on or grow up. It's also presumably a song about being frozen in time, forever 23. In Taylor's case, she's been frozen by fame. Coincidentally, she turned 23 in late 2012. By Gaylor logic, she was dating Dianna around that time, but they soon broke up, and then came Karlie. Later in that same song, Taylor sings, dust collected on my pinned up hair. If dropping hairpins means to signal queerness, what does begrudgingly holding on to those pins mean? Staying closeted? I mean, Gaylors think so. Ultimately, the author of the New York Times article argues that Taylor's queer signaling is obvious, at least to Gaylors, and yet, cruelly, they are forced to pretend that they don't have eyes, all in the name of woke.
Lying commits us to vow a silence.
Silence, they argue, may not be true solidarity.
Recognizing the possibility of queerness while being conscious of the difference between possibility and certainty keeps that signal alive.
This has become the winning argument among Gaylors and other groups who speculate about a person's sexuality. They insist that it's important to pick up on dropped clues, just in case a closeted person wants people to know about their identity, but isn't yet ready to fully come out. And I guess I could see the logic in that if you're talking about a friend that you personally know and they hint at their sexuality or, their gender, and you accept them for who they are, but don't confront them about it until they're ready. But that's not what's happening in the deepest parts of these gay conspiracy theories, though. Is it? Finding Woola themes in Taylor's discography is fine. Valuable even. Valid even. But that doesn't mean you have to speculate about her actual sexuality. A massive Gaylor theory is that Taylor is being forcibly closeted. Remaining closeted is how she stays safe. Otherwise, her label or her family or whoever it is pulling the strings may harm her. She may lose fans. The world may hate her. If someone you don't know personally is closeted and they told you to stop speculating about their sexuality, what do you lose by letting it go? She is not your friend. You are not her friend. You are not her family. She is not your family. Is preserving the sanctity of her potential queer signaling more important than preserving the safety of an actual person? And why do you get to decide what's more important anyways, when it actually doesn't affect you whatsoever? Whether she's straight or queer or nothing or everything, it doesn't affect you. On January 6, 2023, an associate of Taylor Swift told CNN that the New York Times article was invasive, untrue, and inappropriate. Ooh, girl, where were you on January 6th?
Because of her massive success, in this moment, there is a Taylor-shaped hole in people's ethics. This article wouldn't have been allowed to be written about Shawn Mendes or any male artist whose sexuality has been questioned by fans.
First of all, Shawn Mendes was fighting off articles speculating about his sexuality, lest we forget. Why did they specifically name drop him? They don't name drop nobody else in the article, but they said, you know what about Shawn Mendes? Speculation happens to men too. I would argue it happens a lot. I didn't make a 2-hour Larry video for nothing, girl. The rep goes on to say that
I mean, it's highly unusual for a reputable news organization like The Times to publish an article speculating on a person's sexuality, let alone a figure of immense cultural significance who has previously denied the insinuations.
Usually articles like this can be questionable. Anyone can fabricate a source. But CNN is more reputable than most, and they reached out directly to New York Times and the author to get a quote about the criticisms that came from their so-called source. I don't think they would do that if they were using a fake source. Maybe it wasn't Tree Payne herself or even Taylor herself who put this out, but I do think it's someone who got the green light from either one of those people. And Gaylor seemed to agree with me on this, which it's scary for me, but mostly for them, because if this article is authentic, it's the first time Taylor has ever spoken directly to them, without any room to deflect. Because remember, 1989 Prologue, Taylor's version, didn't come out until later that year, in October. So they were just fighting for their life all 2023 long, girl. And I think the responses speak for themselves.
This article is homophobic and makes no sense. Taylor, do us all a favor and end this. Please. I don't think there's anything Taylor or her team could say that would make me forget the bi pride hair and you need to calm down. Even if she was queerbaiting, what was the reason for that? That one thing is the glue that holds my Gaylor together. None of this phases me. I feel like she could say she's straight point blank and I wouldn't believe her solely based on that hair. It's stuff like this that makes me just not care about Taylor's gay coding anymore. It is so obvious at this point. She's playing both sides and it's frankly pathetic and gross. Even though our theories are right, I mean, Kaylor was a thing and there's no way it was a fake thing we made up. And Diana's tattoo, we are not stupid, Taylor. Of course she's going to play the victim and pretend she hasn't been playing both sides of the fandom. I'm done with her. Honestly, it's the third time she has thrown us to the wolves. If she cared to protect her queer fans, she'd be more careful with her words. Taylor, either say you are straight or stop making extremely specific, explicitly queer references in your work. I am so sick of this shit. It's not sexism, for God's sake. I feel personally let down by her, no matter how lame that sounds.
A day after the CNN article goes live, Shelley Wright posted on Twitter.
I think it was awful of New York Times to publish, triggering for me to read, not because the writer mentioned my nearly ending my life, but seeing a public person's sexuality being discussed is upsetting.
Her post, in the eyes of the Gaylors, is high-level treason. Once beloved by them, Shelley was now facing an attack by some of them.
If Taylor doesn't want people to interpret her queer flagging/baiting, then she either needs to quit doing it or step into her truth proudly. There are hundreds of examples of her using queer references and hairpins in her lyrics and life, which leads us to believe 3 options. Number 1, Taylor is out to the community and accepted by her peers, like her opening acts, her friends, GLAAD, Stonewall, and Gaylors. 2, she's a tone-deaf white woman who's greedy and motivated purely for capitalistic greed, and making money off of queer communities' vulnerability and marginalization, which would be gross. Or number 3, she is a closeted queer person who wanted to come out/wants to come out, or will come out one day, hopefully, and be happy and live her truth. To be honest, Shelley, I'm disappointed in your take, though. Actually, your take is contributing harm to the queer community by invalidating a well-written and thoughtful piece by the New York Times. It's about time Taylor is held accountable for the continued pain and harm her playing both sides brings to her fandom. And I say this as someone who loves Mother to pieces. With alleys like this, though, who needs Republicans?
After the Great War, it's relatively quiet on the frontal lobe. That is, until August 9th, 2023. Taylor has been on the Eras Tour for most of the year by this point. And at her latest LA show, who decides to show her face other than Karlie Kloss? Kush, damn it! Unlike the Reputation tour, Karlie stays in the stands like a fan for the duration of the show. People make a big deal out of it because if Karlie was Taylor's secret gay espionage lover, why is she 15,000 million miles away from the stage instead of watching from the VIP section or even backstage? And even if you aren't a Gaylor, this still looks bad for their friendship. 2 months later, Taylor releases 1989, Taylor's version, which has the infamous prologue. Here are some of the responses that Gaylors gave to this prologue.
It kind of feels like the girl who does all of the girlfriend things and leads you on, then goes out and gets a boyfriend. Blondie makes me feel this way all the time now, and it is not a feeling that I like. If she's straight, then what the hell is her music about? Like, your relationship with another 5'10", rich, famous white man is in jeopardy because the media and everyone talks about it after you made those relationships and breakups extremely public? Cry me a river. No one else has had such a big spectacle of their love life while also complaining about the speculation all in one breath. She needs to stop with the star-crossed lovers who can't be together shtick if she's not actually queer, because it's annoying. It would seriously be so damn obnoxious if it's just a heterosexual relationship that she's dreaming, hoping, dying to keep. I just gotta say it. Ultimately, Taylor is not our ally, or a role model, or anything that we want her to be. She's selling albums about the person that her fans believe her to be, and getting mad and playing the victim when it doesn't line up with what she wants. Ultimately, I'm not sure what she wants, to be the most famous person in the world, but also not perceived or speculated about or anything. Grow the fuck up, Taylor. I'm over it. Taylor's not straight, but she's not queer. She's a secret, third, more diabolical thing. A capitalist. She did this to herself by cultivating her own image that way. Nobody forced her to queer flag. She chose to do that all on her own. And to now clutch her pearls because people thought she was queer? No. I feel like we are her disposable fans. Her scapegoats. I'm sure some Hitler will lambast me for this, but I feel like I am in an abusive relationship. She likes Gaylor posts, references lesbian and queer history, then constantly throws us under the bus. I get such whiplash from her. I have been crying through listening to this album for various reasons, but she really tainted this one with her prologue. I vote that we kick Taylor out of Gaylorism. Kill the author. Keep on analyzing her work through a queer lens and ignore the gossip about her life and silly football games.
Speaking of football games, on September 12, 2023, Gaylor's literal 9/11, Taylor Swift was reported to have been quietly hanging out with Travis Kelce. I think I forgot to mention, but her and Joe broke up early 2023. I think it was announced in April. Travis and Taylor would go on to be photographed everywhere in the whole wide world. She would go to his games, and he would jump along to her songs at concerts. People were really quick to call this relationship PR, but how far do you think Blondie will truly go? On August 26, 2025, Taylor announced that she and Travis were getting married. In the straightest possible caption imaginable. The Gaylor subreddit went private, and that was that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the story of Gaylor. Psych! There's more. You thought a marriage to Travis Kelce would sway the Gaylors? Are you out of your mind? They may have privated the major Gaylor subreddit, but not for long. And let me just take the time here to say how annoying non-Gaylors were being at this time. Like, look, I get it. The Gaylor conspiracy, it can get a little silly. But the same anti-Gaylors who were calling them the scum of the earth and incel lesbians were crying, shitting, and throwing up over the Reddit going dark. At the end of the day, you just have to admit that you want someone to shit on. You want to have a lol cow. I think that's what the kids are calling it. And I do think, unfortunately for the Gaylors, they're the easiest target in the fandom. On January 7th, 2024, Taylor attended the Golden Globes in a shimmery green dress. Gaylors everywhere instantly resurrected because they see this as a callback to one of their long-forgotten talismans. In 2017, Taylor Jenkins Reid published The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Pure gospel to the Gaylors. It's aight. While a fictional character, Evelyn was based partly on the real-life Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor. In the book, Evelyn orchestrates 7 high-profile marriages to 7 high-profile men in order to hide her real relationship with a woman. On her deathbed, Evelyn reveals everything to the most annoying main character in the history of a book ever. Girl, don't nobody care about your little coffee table. Put Evelyn back on the phone. The pills are wearing off. After this book was published, Gaylors joked that it was secretly written by Taylor. Like clockwork, the jokes turned into serious speculation. If Taylor didn't write the books, Gaylors argued, then Taylor Jenkins Reid has to be a closeted Gaylor. Do you really want to hear the evidence this time? Do you even still have faith? Well, here it is. Taylor Swift has a history of wearing green dresses. None of them look like the cover art, but who cares? She also has a history of evoking Elizabeth Taylor in her work. See Reputation album, track 1, Burton to This Taylor. See also literal song titled Elizabeth Taylor on Life of a Showgirl. Elizabeth Taylor. I hate that song so bad. Evelyn Hugo was known to date around a lot. And Gaylor, they're like, OMG, that's twin them. That's twin. Evelyn introduces herself by name in the book, even to people who should know her because she's a mega celebrity. Something that only Taylor Swift ever has done in the history of the world. The The book dedication mentions smashing the patriarchy. See also Red Album, Taylor's version, track 30, Fuck the Patriarchy. The book mentions Coney Island, which only Taylor Swift knows about, because she learned that from Lana Del Rey. There's a character named Betty mentioned briefly in the book. Obvious. Celia, who is Evelyn's secret lover, buys her a bottle of Dom Perignon, the same brand that Taylor mentions in Champagne Problems. See also Halsey, album titled Hopeless Fountain Kingdom, track 12, Drinking So Wet with Perignon. See also Future, album title What a Time to Be Alive, track 4, Sipping Dom Perignon for No Reason. The book features the extremely common phrase of death by 1,000 cuts. Flashbacks waking me up, I get drunk but it's not enough because the morning comes and you're not my baby. The book features the extremely common phrase of burying hatches. See also Reputation album, track 2, I bury hatches but I keep maps of where I put them. Undeniably compelling stuff. Just on the nose kind of stuff. Whether the Gaylors believe that Taylor is the second coming of Evelyn Hugo doesn't really matter to me. What matters are the themes that weave between the two things: bearding, secret gay espionage, and most of all, performance. I now enter into evidence the final Gaylor theory of this investigation: performance artler. Performance artler became especially popular once Taylor and Travis really started dating. I would argue that it was Gaylor's way of making sense of everything that followed. The theory rests on Taylor's reputation, the one that claims her to be this mastermind in love. For the past however long, she has used this reputation to craft a meta-narrative in which her branded personality, her PR boyfriends, her real girlfriends, and even us as the audience are all active characters. Her goal is to fake date as many men as she can before she suddenly burns it all to the ground. In doing so, she reveals the cruel nature of the music industry that forced her into the closet. She brings to the forefront the practice of bearding, and she forces the masses to realize their own complicity in her silencing. Beneath the mask of the measured ideal girl boss is the real Taylor Swift, a queer, artistic mirror ball. It's fascinating Gaylor scholarship. On Reddit, users write essays about album eras, lyrics, even concert performances to make sense of the chaos that is Taylor Swift's current celebrity. While Taylor's relationships play a role in the meta-narrative performance, the goal is less about romance and more about this cunning social experiment. Taylor seeks to hold up a mirror to the world and show us our devious vices, our unrealistic expectations, and our murderous thirst for fame.
Era's era is the tale of two Taylors, the Taylor of your wildest dreams and the Taylor floating high above the trees at 7. The central provocation of the art comes from asking the dear reader to choose between them, and the implication that there is a right choice. The Eras tour will be seen, by those who can see it, as a meta-masterwork on modern celebrity culture and what happens when the supernova of one person's fame monster threatens to stamp out the person inside.
It sounds a bit outlandish. Gaylors are probably making Taylor seem much more interesting and reflective than she probably is. But can you really blame them for their fantasies? I started this investigation with a simple question. What is Taylor Swift's reputation?
Swift is like a mad pop star scientist. Everything is a cipher, and all of these images are connected somehow. This sounds exactly like the kind of dramatic plan Swift would connect if she were ever to plan a public coming out. Since at least her Lover era, Miss Swift has explicitly encouraged her fans to read into the coded messages, which she calls Easter eggs, that she leaves in music videos, social media posts, and interviews with traditional media outlets.
Every source I interrogated, from fans to bystanders to publications themselves, implied that the Gaylor conspiracy was a decade in the making. It was inevitable. Other fandoms investigate sexuality all the time, but Even the most notorious fandoms don't have the lore of the Swifties. Louis Tomlinson isn't in Larry's ears telling them that he's a mastermind. Shawn Mendes, bless his soul, isn't laying the foundation for high-stakes probing. If you ignore the morally questionable sexuality investigations and just focus on the performance art rhetoric, it becomes clear that Gaylors are just following their training. Alongside Swifties of all kinds, Gaylors have been trained to see shadows where there aren't any. They see brilliant red invisible strings where they don't really exist. Everything is a reference, everything is part of the Taylor Swift universe. Her fans are simply picking up what she's been putting down. When Time named her Person of the Year in 2023, they wrote that
she has harnessed the power of the media, both traditional and new, to create something wholly unique. A narrative world in which her music is just one piece of an interactive, shape-shifting story. Swift is that story's architect and hero, protagonist and narrator.
Gaylors are hunting for a deeper story they've been told exists. What they don't realize is that what they see with Taylor, the shallowness they're sensing, is as far into the narrative that she can go. The crux of Gaylorism is that they expect more than Taylor can possibly give them. They expect her lyrics to be an iceberg, comprehensible on the surface, but hiding an impossible dimension underneath. They expect her to be the last conscious creator, one that takes her time with her art, one who plans every little thing down to the public's reaction. They expect her life to match up with the nebulous, forbidden music of her universe. At every turn, they are disappointed. The mastermind they claim to worship is really no different from other artists. Her Easter eggs are a mix of shallow flagging and brilliant coincidence. Yes, she is great at what she does, but she's not the omnipresent entity that the world claims her to be. Her fiery, otherworldly romances are populated by normal, even mediocre white men. Her business practices are greedy and rushed. Her artistry is currently being bogged down with AI-generated images and clunky, spiraling, too long albums. Ironically, Gaylors don't know Taylor as much as they claim to. If she were hosting an experiment about identity in the spotlight, they too would be surprised by the real her. Performance artler is a coping mechanism, just as Gaylorism has become. It's an excuse to soothe the dissonance plaguing them before it unravels their entire conscience.
Lately, I've been thinking that the life of a showgirl didn't end with the final track. It leaked out into the real world. The past week has felt like living inside a performance itself. Variant after variant, new visuals every day, a different headline by morning. It's been constant, exhausting, and oddly mesmerizing. At first, it did feel excessive, like her team was pushing too hard. But, the more I sit with it, the more I realize that this is the art. We keep asking, why doesn't she just explain, but maybe that's the point. Maybe the act of withholding is the final layer of performance art.
No, guys, listen. Taylor isn't dropping 50 million variants of the same album and churning out AI slop because she's a greedy capitalist. It's all a part of the performance. She is the only pop star on the planet that's smart. Now, is the $1 billion part of her performance too, or is that just a neat little perk? Gaylors are right about one thing. Taylor Swift is a masterclass study in celebrity. But that's not an intentional meta-narrative that she's somehow been crafting since 2006. It's also not entirely her fault that people are overstepping the way they are. She has said stop numerous times and they haven't. She's certainly influential. She has a kind of spell over her fans, but I think as consumers, at some point we do have to grow up and say that we still have agency. Taylor Swift isn't forcing us to speculate about her sexuality, nor is she forcing us to write essays about her relationships or put in our 2 cents about her life. I'm doing this all on my own accord. I'm choosing to do this. We have the ability to stop listening, to tune it out, to find other hobbies. We have ultimately chosen not to. This is the tomb that we have decided to lie in. It feels like a victimless crime, and it could be if you let it. If you stuck to identifying with the lyrics and the analysis of potential queer songs instead of turning it into this hunt. Gaylorism will never die. Taylor will continue this so-called performance, baiting and switching until she's dust in the ground. And even if performance artler didn't exist, I think Gaylors would invent something that does, just to take the edge off. What I've learned from my time researching Larry's is that these theories are evergreen. There will always be another reason to keep believing, another lie to uncover, another criticism to dodge. Nothing anyone says will sway you.
They are so intertwined with what they believe to be the truth now that they won't actually see the truth for what it is. I'd be lying if it does irritate me a little bit, you know, but it is just kind of nature of the job, I suppose. There are times where it gets a little bit, you know, at times it gets far too personal within that whole space. I've got my son Freddie, he's the most important person in my life. Occasionally, you know, it kind of broaches some stuff that is kind of really unfair. So it kind of just is this thing that exists now. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can say about it to stop people making up what they want to make up.
They need the yowie. And look, that's fine mostly, but then it becomes, I wish they were really dating. Are they? Are they gay? And look, that is a valid question for people to have in their heads, but a line gets crossed when that turns into, let's find out. It turned into a public FBI hunt, crawling through ancient social media posts.
What did you tweet on the 5th of February 2008?
Trying to contact family members.
Has he ever looked at a boy in a gay way? I'm a friend.
Yeah.
Tell me the truth.
But exhaustion has to set in eventually. For a burning second, the explanations will stop making sense. The echo chamber will feel claustrophobic. You have a choice not to reach for the next tranquilizer. A lot of Larrys and Gaylors dedicate their lives to these theories because it was there for them when no one else was. It introduced them to queer media and helped them uncover their own sexuality. But it's just a door. Giving up isn't going into the closet, it's entering a room. You have made it past the threshold now, and you get to explore this wide, sprawling building without dragging along the carcass of a 2013 Tumblr conspiracy. You don't have to be stuck in the restaurant forever, dust collecting on your pinned-up hair. There are equally talented, intelligent, thought-provoking queer artists that, quite frankly, need your support, who you could fall in love with. Audre Lorde was a Black lesbian writer. Victoria Monet, to my knowledge, is a Black bisexual singer-songwriter. There's Janelle Monáe and Frida Kahlo and Doechii, Kehlani, Lil Nas X. Hell, if you're like Taylor Swift and you can only seem to stomach white, blue-eyed muses, Chappell Roan and Kristen Stewart are right there. When people say support out queer artists, they aren't saying kill all closeted people. We should be making a space for closeted queer people too. But we have to make that space welcoming. We have to make it seductive. If an artist we suspect is queer goes on the record multiple times saying that they're straight and they would appreciate us not analyzing their relationships or sexuality, we do not have the right to keep pushing, especially when it borders on outing them, or when it creates an environment where they can't focus on introspection, or where all they can hear about who they are and what they like and who they'll be is coming from other people. That's not very welcoming to closeted people. Internet infamy doesn't seek to solve. It seeks to explain. The truth is out there if you're willing to find it yourself. As for me, it's time to close up my tabs and clear my browsing history. This is Internet Infamy, and I'm your host, Shanspeare. Thanks for watching.